this week on the show. An almost perfect start to the Euro 2024 qualifiers for the home nations as England, Wales and Scotland have a positive start to their campaigns.
For a win.
Can Arsenal respond to restore their 8-point lead as we enter the home straight to the title? 6 league victories in a row, the Emirates expects, but Leeds are revitalised and scrapping for their lives. 7 points from a possible 12 under Javi Gracia.
More than a chance that we're seeing not one but 2 teams destined for continental football next season. Brighton and Brentford each with a chance to clamber above Liverpool today, and an awful lot of respect towards one another in the build-up. As Thomas Frank put it, clear strategies and calm leadership have been key for both. How true that is.
It's Roy's return. Roy Hodgson is back at Crystal Palace, and his job, well, is to avoid relegation. Palace 3 points above the drop zone without a win in 2023. Hodgson is up against a manager he's never beaten before. Leicester's Brendan Rodgers. 2 points separate the two.
Oh, it's nervy times for the bottom 9 clubs fighting for scraps, and Forest and Wolves had a scrap the last time they met in the EFL in January. It's not a friendly Midlands rivalry, this one. Mix in a bit of relegation. This could be a lot of fun at the City Ground.
They're all big matches from here on in. Fulham have had a dip in form recently, but still have European ambitions. They have to cope without Mitrovic and Willian today after those moments of madness in the FA Cup. Bournemouth are desperate to stay in the Premier League and could jump up the table if they can repeat that brilliant win against Liverpool in their last home game. Gary O'Neill names the same team for the 3rd game in a row.
Well, 6 of the teams kicking off at 3 o'clock are members of this relegation 9. Bournemouth, they're the one that's in the bottom 3. Glenn, you're going to watch their game today. They're coming up against a Fulham side who've been excellent this season, but they haven't won in their last 3, and they've no Alexander Mitrovic and no Willian. So how do you see this one going?
Well, it's a depleted Fulham side, like you say. I think this is a good afternoon for Bournemouth. At home against Fulham, like you say, they haven't won in the last few. It's now or never. Bournemouth need to take this moment, and listen, the season does boil down to moments. It's about capitalising on this, and for me, this kick-off here at the Vitality at home against Fulham, should I say, without their talisman in Mitrovic, this is a huge opportunity for Bournemouth.
And then if we look at the game at the City Ground, Leon, the 2 teams, or 2 of the 3 teams who are the joint lowest scorers in the Premier League going head-to-head. This one might not be a goal fest, but Forest's home form is surely going to be something that you could say could tip it.
Yeah, well, that's certainly what they'll be hoping for, because as it's quite obvious, they've been much better at home. That's where the majority of their points have come from. But we've just seen the league table, and Forest are without a win in the last 5. So will Leicester. This is the moment now where you have to put stop to that. You have to get a few W's on that board. You have to get a few wins, and today is a big one for Forest.
Yeah, big ones all over the Premier League today. This is final score from the BBC, the fastest goal service on your TV, laptop, tablet and smartphone in the Scottish Premiership. Well, Celtic need just 6 more wins to be crowned champions. They play tomorrow, so for Rangers it is just about keeping that pressure on. They host bottom of the table Dundee United, and it's good afternoon, Gavin Wallace.
Good afternoon, Ailey. Goalkeeper and Mr Dependable Alan McGregor makes his 500th appearance for Rangers this afternoon, the first to enter the 500 club since Ali McCoist. Michael Beale makes 3 changes to the team that beat Motherwell before the international break. Barisic, Tillman and Morelos are all in. And as you say, with Celtic playing tomorrow, it's a big chance for Rangers to reduce the arrears on their city rivals. Michael Beale remains unbeaten as Rangers manager, but new Dundee United boss Jim Goodwin is still searching for his side's first league win this calendar year. And coupled, Ailey, with the fact that they have the second worst away record in the league, you'd have to say their chances of a win this afternoon here is as likely as Spain winning at Hampden.
I've got somebody to mention it alongside me. Brilliant. Right, into the Championship. Norwich's playoff charge is stalled with no wins in their last 3. And today, they host the team currently occupying that final automatic promotion place in Sheffield United. A really big afternoon for both. This one, Mark Webber.
Indeed, Ailey. Both sides flirting more than you'd see in a Love Island episode. The playoffs, the centre of their attention. Norwich trying to be part of them. Sheffield United trying to avoid them. Everyone's new favourite Scotsman, Angus Gunn, in goal for Norwich after seeing off the Spanish Armada midweek. Sheffield United unchanged after booking a place at Wembley in the FA Cup. We're underway. Nothing of note. 0-0.
Well, it's third bottom against third top at the John Smith Stadium as Michael Carrick's Middlesbrough look to keep the pressure on in the battle for that second automatic promotion spot. And it is a good afternoon to Nesta McGregor.
Yeah, good afternoon. As you say, 2 teams at opposing ends of the table and managed by men at opposing ends of their careers as well. In the home dugout, Neil Warnock, 40-plus years experience on his CV. Michael Carrick, he's not been in charge of Borough for 40 games. Huddersfield make 2 changes. Dwayne Holmes and Danny Ward in for Ben Jackson and Martin Waghorn. Middlesbrough do the same. In defence, Paddy McNair, and in midfield, Aaron Ramsey in for Del Fry and Riley McGree. And back to the opposites, it's a team in red versus a team in blue, North versus West Yorkshire, and we're hoping for the opposite of a boring 0-0 draw.
Always hoping for that. Right, Birmingham City are looking to take another step towards safety and build on their 2 wins before the international break. Today, they host playoff-chasing Blackburn Rovers, and Ben Mundy is there.
Yeah, afternoon in Blackburn side that were 10 minutes away from Wembley before that break. They carry an FA Cup quarter-final loss into this one, though. And they're without some of their fans. An M6 closure has led to big delays getting here this afternoon. No hold-up for the hosts, though. Birmingham on the march in March. 1 defeat in 4. This one has literally just kicked off, so it is 0-0.
Well, Swansea have had the upper hand in recent meetings in the South Wales derby. They're looking for a 4th consecutive win over their rivals, something that has never been achieved before. I wonder why Jason chose this weekend to go on holiday. If you can spot him, I don't think he's going to be happy right now, Laura Kenyon.
I've spotted him. There's been a goal. He does not look happy. It's Cardiff 0. It's Swansea 1. The away side with the early breakthrough in the South Wales derby. Joel Peru twisting and turning in the box. Clinical. Swansea looking for a 4th consecutive win against their local rivals. And off the mark already. It's 1-0 Swansea.
Well, Millwall travel to the Hawthorns as the team, all those just outside the playoffs, are chasing down, including West Brom, who are unbeaten in their last 10 league games at home. So it's not a bad one for your final score debut. Welcome to the show, Casa Long.
Thanks, Ailey. Very glad to be at the Hawthorns. Much like the Baggies, have only conceded 1 goal in that 10-game home unbeaten streak you mentioned. They were in the relegation places when Carlos Corberan took over last October. 4 changes: Furlong, Shalabar, Adam Reach and Brandon Thomas Asante coming in. Millwall's last match before the international break, a disappointing defeat at the Den against Huddersfield. They make just 1 change from that side as Watmore comes in for Vogelsammer. It's still 0-0 here.
2 of the Championship's in-form teams go head-to-head as Coventry, who have the playoffs in their sights after a run of 9 without defeat. They host Stoke City. Good afternoon, Nikesh Ragani.
Afternoon, Ellie. Yes, Coventry just 3 points off the top 6 and really could have done without the international break to carry on that momentum that they had. Mark Robins' side welcome back their 18-goal man Victor Gyökeres to their starting lineup today, fresh from his first competitive goal for Sweden this week on Monday. Coventry, they entertain a Stoke side, as you say, who have been in great form themselves. They've left it too late for a playoff push, but they sit 13th in the table and have taken points off some of the top sides in the division in recent weeks. Norwich just before the international break, Middlesbrough, Blackburn as well. Will they add Coventry to that list today? Well, it's early stages at the moment. It's a beautiful day here in the Midlands. Haven't seen too much beautiful football so far. Fingers crossed, though. Only 2 minutes gone. It's 0-0.
Well, Wigan know they just need to pick up as many points as possible between now and the end of the season, and hope, after a 3-point deduction, cut them further adrift at the bottom. QPR make the journey north today, and I believe there is a penalty, Rich Wolfenden.
Yeah, perfect timing at Ailey. Daniel Sinani was sent down the right channel and just tripped foolishly by the QPR defender. I think it was Sam Field who did it, tripped him up, and a penalty early doors for Wigan, and it's Max Power who's lining up the penalty. The referee points for the QPR players and the Wigan players to get out of the D and get out of the penalty area as he stands up against Seny Dieng, the QPR goalkeeper. The whistle is blown. Power puts it into the top right corner. Postage stamp stuff, and the team, bottom of the championship, lead against QPR early doors. 1-0 Wigan.
Oh, what a start for Wigan. Well, Rotherham will be hoping to bounce back from back-to-back defeats to move away from danger at the bottom as they travel to Hull. And the home side are expecting their biggest crowd for almost 6 years. So how is the atmosphere, Andy Sixsmith?
In true Yorkshire derby fashion, early, it's wet, which will worry Rotherham fans after their last game controversially abandoned due to a tropical downpour. The Millers will want to play 90 today because of that relegation battle. 4 points above the drop zone with a game in hand, but with an awful away record. 2 away wins all season must change to avoid a 4th relegation in 7 seasons. Amazing to think Hull City's Tigers had 1 paw on the playoff spot 6 weeks ago, but the Championship a brutal beast, and 1 win and 8 has seen Liam Rossinia's side slip down the ladder. Hull v Rotherham then here in the rain. More Yorkshire than Sean Bean reading Wuthering Heights while necking a Yorkshire pudding. It's 0-0.
Well, Reading haven't won away from home since November of last year, and today they make the trip to Bristol City with an ever-growing injury list for Paul Ince to contend with. Hamish Marshall.
Yeah, Paul Ince is without at least 9 players, including his son Tom, who's the latest to join the injury list, which also includes Junior Hoylett and Shane Long. Bare bones is the phrase which comes to mind, and they're 9 points above relegation places, but a potential 6-point deduction would leave them in deep in trouble. Bristol City are unbeaten at home this year, and they're 3 points above their visitors. 7 minutes played, goalless.
What a big choice.
Right, in League One, Barnsley have gone ahead through a Devante Cole opener against Morecambe. And if we head to our reporters around the ground, Plymouth face Bolton in the EFL Trophy final tomorrow at Wembley, which means second place Sheffield Wednesday, who are enduring their toughest run of the season. 4 games now without a win, and their automatic promotion place beginning to look increasingly shaky. They host Lincoln City, and it is a good afternoon. Lee Blakeman.
Hello, Ailey. They're making hard work of this Sheffield Wednesday, aren't they? Their latest struggle being at Cheltenham midweek, where they came from 2 down to snatch a late point. They can take a small piece of comfort from their form here, though. Unbeaten at Hillsborough since September, and they've never lost a league game here to Lincoln either. A draw will be good enough to send Wednesday top today. Lincoln know that 1 more win from their remaining 9 should be good enough to make them safe. They start 14th, 8 played, 0-0.
6.
Well, Kelly mentioned absolute cracker of a match in League Two as second place Northampton Town hosted third place Stevenage, and there has been a goal already, Mike Williams.
And it's the home side, second place Northampton, who are in front here. Ailey, the home fans shouting, "We are going up." They are putting pressure on the League Two leaders, Leyton Orient, as things stand, who are also at home to Carlisle. It was a scrappy goal. Lewis Apparay with a tap-in from 4 yards out after a goalmouth scramble. The Stevenage players really failing to clear their lines, but it's early pressure from Northampton that has paid off here, because they are leading this battle of second versus third, as you say, in League Two, with all eyes on promotion. But it's the home side and the Cobblers fans who are in front so far.
Well, the top 4 are all playing each other in League Two this afternoon, and let's head to Carlisle United, who sit just 1 point off the automatic promotion places. They face that tough trip that Kelly was talking about to leaders Leyton Orient, and at Brisbane Road for us, it's Kate Mason.
Yeah, they certainly do, Ailey. They're without a win or a goal in their last 3. Manager Paul Simpson said he didn't want to put flowery language around the fact that his forwards aren't firing. And today, they're going to have to find a way past the best home defence in the EFL. But speaking to Orient fans here at Brisbane Road, it's a nervy place. People just can't stop thinking about that 2-goal lead they let slip to Colchester a fortnight back, or last weekend's lead to Hartlepool, where they also dropped points. We've been mainly sitting around with a bit of injury so far, so it is still 0-0.
Well, there has been a goal in that game between Coventry and Stoke City. Nagesh Rugani?
And what a year Stoke City are having. They lead by a 0-0 here. It was a good bit of work down the left on the counter-attack. Cross came in from the byline, and it was Jacob Brown 6 yards out with a tap-in on his right foot. Lovely little finish from him. Good run as well. Stoke, they're climbing up the table. As I said, they're taking points off all the big sides, Norwich, Middlesbrough, Blackburn, and they lead here Coventry, who are pushing for the playoffs, by a 0-0.
It's been a big start in the Scottish Premiership. Goals around the ground. St Mirren are 1-0 up against Livingston with a Mark O'Hara penalty. Hearts winning away to Kilmarnock thanks to Lawrence Shankland, and Motherwell also winning on the road at Hibernian. Sean Goss with the goal. But we have a goal in the Premier League. Let's head to the Amex. Yeah, I don't know what happened to Chris. He was overtaken by the goal that we got. Glenn, you can talk us through it.
Yeah, it's a really good move by Brentford. They just put a ball into the box from the left-hand side, and I think it's Janssen just gets across dunk and just glances that ball, gets good power on it, good purchase on it, and beats the goalkeeper, Jason Steele, just purely through power. It's close to him, but emphatic header from the Brentford captain. Brentford 1-0.
Outstanding. Yeah, when the defenders get up from the back and a cross comes in like that, you know,
it's so inviting, wasn't it?
So inviting, and he's just seen the opportunity, got across his marker, and the keeper had no chance. Brilliant header for Brentford to go 1-up.
Yeah, and the scenes as well in the away.
Didn't come to me. I gave you the excitement there.
And the scenes in the away end right now are brilliant. So let's go to Chris Wise, get a flavour of it.
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously everything got a little too exciting. It was all Brighton, to be honest, for the opening 10 minutes. Hold that thought. Here come Brentford again. Mbema racing forward. Oh, missed by Estupinian, who has passed the ball back to goalkeeper Jason Steele, who has collected it inside his penalty area. And now there's a bit of a problem for Brighton, because not only are they one down here through that brilliant Janssen header, but they're now having to deal with a Brentford free kick, which is essentially a penalty because of where it is. It's right next to the penalty spot, so it's probably about 9 yards out, maybe 10, and they're having to get as many men behind this wall now, Brighton, as they possibly can, because things might be about to get worse for them. Really good free kick opportunity this. I'll let you chaps discuss it in the studio before you come back to us.
Wow, Roberto De Zerbi is going absolutely crazy on this island. It feels like a harsh one because they were so close together, but I mean, you've got to give that.
It's definitely a free kick. The referee's made the right decision. I think what he's upset at is, as Chris said then, his team were doing brilliantly. His team were very much on top. They've conceded one against the run of play, and suddenly, instead of getting control of the game again, they're now potentially going to concede a second one. You know what it's like, Glenn? You're always vulnerable just after you've scored or conceded, and Brighton could potentially concede a second one.
Yeah, and now all 11 players are lined up on their own goal line, just ready to face this shot from, I think it's going to be Ivan Toney from around about 7 yards out. Let's see what happens here. Referee's blown the whistle. Rolled back.
I mean, it's the hardest penalty in the world to score that.
Well, yeah, I think there was a bit of a jump start there.
Yeah, I mean, when there's so many players back there, though, because you've got to touch it because it's indirect free kick, so you touch it, and in that moment, players jump, players come quickly.
Yeah.
I've got to be honest, I wasn't one of the ones who was charging up to the ball quickly. I would have been on the line a little bit, trying to just make myself as small as possible, but, you know, they charged out quite quickly there, Brighton, and we've just gone back to De Zerbi, who looks a bit happier than he did a moment ago, and he should be. His team defended that situation well.
Yeah, we thought this would be a good game, and it looks like it is going to be one indeed. Right, well, Sheffield Wednesday in League One. You can see they've taken the lead against Lincoln City. Let's get details of the goal with Lee Blakeman.
They deserve to have the lead as well, Ailey. Good move down the left. Ball swung into a crowd, and Michael Smith was on hand to nudge it over the line. They've started well here, Darren Moore's team. No wins in 4 coming into today, but deservedly leading by a 1-0.
Right, let's get back around the Premier League ground. It's been a good start for Crystal Palace, Betty Glover.
It has indeed. Palace 0, Leicester 0. Crystal Palace have come out attacking some really early chances, piling on the pressure. Within the first 30 seconds, Zaha took a shot from outside of the edge of the area, but it was blocked by Dewsbury Hall. Decore got on the end of a corner, took a low shot, but it was well saved by Iverson in Leicester's goal. Then down the other end, Leicester went really close with their first bit of attacking play. Christiansen down the left, but he hit the post as well. Palace scrambled to get it away. So it's a good game so far, Ailey, but Palace 0, Leicester 0.
What about at the Emirates? Arsenal know what Manchester City did earlier. Will Perry, has it affected them in any way?
Well, it's still goalless. Arsenal 0, Leeds 0, and they've had a huge wasted opportunity. It was a Xhaka cross from the left-hand side for Gabriel Jesus, who unmarked from 7 yards out, headed over the bar. Should have done so much better, at least testing Ian Meslier in the Leeds goal, but couldn't do that as it sailed over the bar as he goes in search of that first goal since October. We had a dramatic opening 50 seconds as well. Christensen forcing Ramsdale into a save directly from kickoff. An effort on target, tight angle, a fierce shot which Ramsdale palmed to safety, and Martinelli straight down the other end on the counter had a shot blocked. It's all happening here, but that chance from Jesus, are they going to rue it? Arsenal 0, Leeds 0.
Well, it's definitely all happening at the Vitality. We've got a goal. Which way, Andy Stevenson?
It has gone to Fulham, and it is a lovely, lovely classic Fulham goal. Great passing work down the left-hand side. We are just looking at a potential VAR decision, but for the time being, it's a goal. Manor Solomon into Harrison Reed. Harrison Reed made a little bit of space for himself and laid it on a plate for Andreas Pereira, who had started the whole move off, and Pereira slotted it back past Neto, going the wrong way in the Bournemouth goal, and it is Bournemouth 0, Fulham 1, although there is a check being made, Ailey.
Yeah, that is just a lovely goal, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, the way that Reed just manages to swivel in the box there and lay it into Pereira's path with just the right way, isn't it, for him to come and meet it. And then from that point on, he just keeps his cool, puts it back through a couple of defenders' legs and on the wrong foot to the Bournemouth goalkeeper. But we're just waiting to see if Solomon crept offside. They're all lined up on the halfway line, just waiting.
So close, wasn't it? It's so
yeah,
close.
and it's about 4 passes before the ball ends up in the back of the net, but obviously they do have to check
Yeah, because that was the pivotal moment where they got in behind the Bournemouth defence, Fulham, so they're going to check that. It looks so close. They're looking at strange angles to see whether there's an offside decision. We're talking inches, so you know, these runs I always think should go in favour of the attacking team. I mean, we're not seeing the lines drawn just yet, but to the naked eye, it's very difficult to see whether he is or he isn't.
Yeah,
it's very, very tight, isn't it? But the problem is, from the angle we're looking at, we couldn't see the ball to begin with, could we? In fact, they've changed the angle, and I still can't. But there's the line, and he's onside. It's a green line, 1-0 Fulham, and they have started the better. In all fairness, they've caught Bournemouth cold. I expected Bournemouth to bounce onto the field, like I said, a home game against Fulham with people missing. But so far, Fulham have been the better team and deserve lead.
And Pereira's one of those players that does step up when, you know, they're missing Mitrovic today, they're missing Willian. You're looking for players to step up. Solomon has had a great season, but Pereira's one of those ones that does tend to pop up with goals when they need him.
Yes, he does, yeah. I think he's been a very good sign for Fulham. He was one at Manchester United that wasn't really going to quite cut the mustard at such a big football club, but he's moved to Fulham and he's playing week in, week out, and he's starting to show his quality. I think he's a vital member of that Fulham squad.
Right, let's head straight to the City ground because there are calls for a penalty, Chris Latcham.
Yeah, the Garibaldi Red Forest fans are chanting VAR, VAR. They want a handball against Nelson Semedo. No chance, Ailey. He's so close to Emmanuel Dennis when he kicks the ball at his hand. It could never be given as a penalty. Well, never. I mean, we have seen him. It's not going to be a penalty. Forest have been on top. I'm on player watch for Morgan Gibbs-White against his old club. He looks hungry today. He's bouncing defenders over. He's skinning players for fun. And also Brennan Johnson, who missed Wales duty with a groin injury last week. He looks absolutely fine. He's already been on a run. He's nutmegged the player, and he's forced the only good chance of the game, which was tipped over the bar by Jose Sarr.
Right, let's see what's been happening in the early stages in the Football League. Kelly's back.
I am indeed. We're just going to show you the scores so far in the Championship, and I actually wanted to bring to your attention a game that I didn't talk about pre-match. Sorry, Sunderland fans. I know you're very pleased, particularly our stats man, Chris, because it did finish Burnley 0, Sunderland 0 last night in the Championship. Sunderland, the first team to stop Burnley scoring at Turf Moor this season. Burnley, though, need just 8 points for an automatic return back to the Premier League. As we've said so many times, what a season for Vincent Kompany's side. These are the scores as they stand, other than the games at Luton and Preston, which were the early kickoffs. Into League One then, and it's safe to say goals have been pretty sparse. What's that? 4 goals so far. However, there has just been a big one in the game between Derby County and Ipswich. Connor Chaplin has scored in the 17th minute there for Ipswich. Ipswich, as I was telling you before, had won their last 6 matches coming into this. Derby having a wobble, lost to Peterborough last weekend. If Peterborough can beat Oxford United today, Peterborough will leapfrog them and go into the playoff places. A long way to go, though, admittedly. Elsewhere, Wycombe have faint playoff hopes as well, but they're 1-0 down at home to MK Dons. What a kind of few weeks it's been for MK Dons. They've won their last 3, really pulling themselves away from relegation danger. They've taken as many points in their last 3 as they did in their previous 13 matches. Into League Two, then, there is a little bit more to talk about, including bringing you news of a full-time in the early kickoff in this division. Bradford City jumped up to 6th place in League Two because they beat Grimsby Town by 3-2. Andy Cook scoring his 26th goal of the season in that one, as we've been hearing as well. Northampton 1-0 up against Stevenage. Stevenage could fall out of the top 3 if this result stands, and Carlisle can beat Leyton Orient. That game, as we've been hearing from Kate, is still goalless. Also, a word for Mansfield Town. Mansfield too are looking to keep up the pressure on those playoff places. And also some managerial news to bring you. Rochdale did sack Jim Bentley in midweek. Jim McNulty is in charge there until the end of the season. He is their 3rd manager of the season. Rochdale in all kinds of trouble at the bottom of the EFL. And also another team in trouble, Hartlepool, 1-0 down to Swindon Town. Glenn Murray is making all kinds of crazy arm actions in the corner. I'm getting the feeling there could be a goal, and because it's Glenn, I'm guessing maybe it's Brighton.
Do you want to just hand it over? Sorry.
This is absolutely ridiculous. Brighton have equalised against Brentford. It's no more than they deserve. But Brentford's manager, Thomas Frank, will be pulling his hair out about the method of the goal. It's come from Jason Steele, the Brighton goalkeeper. He's cleared the ball upfield directly, right down the middle. Mitoma's dashed onto it. Nobody could catch him. Raya off his line. He's lobbed the Brentford goalkeeper. Exquisite finish. Brighton won, Brentford won. But I'm looking at Thomas Frank. He is furious.
Yeah, you can understand why Thomas Frank will be a little bit not quite celebrating in the way that you did, Glenn Murray. A little bit frustrated with that one.
Glenn gave Roberto De Zerbi a run for his money.
De Zerbi's halfway up the touchline.
I mean, Chris described it as a clearance. I don't know what he's watching, because it was a brilliant pass from the Brighton goalkeeper. It was a well-worked...
Is that an assist?
Yeah, definitely. It was a well-worked move. That's right from the training ground. It was a long ball right through. If that was Edison, he'd give him the respect of saying it was an assist, but unfortunately it's Jason Steele. But he, like I say, it's off the training ground. Mitoma's made a run beyond, got him one-on-one, kept his cool, keeps come on rushing, and he's just lifted it over.
2-1.
And now it's 2-1.
Wow, what a reaction that is. What a reaction
well,
that is. Let's go back to Chris Wise.
This is remarkable. Brentford are back in front. That equaliser for Brighton, that parity, it lasted less than 2 minutes. And Ivan Toney, the man of the moment amongst the Bees after that England cap a few days ago, has scored the goal. He's taken it so coolly, in such typical Toney style. The ball worked towards him from Mbemo. Brighton's defending this time all over the place. The first touch was alert. The second swept beyond Steele into the bottom left-hand corner. It's his 18th of the season for Ivan Toney. We've had 3 goals in 23 minutes. Brighton 1, Brentford 2.
Yeah, this has been a brilliant game so far. Ivan Toney, he got his first England appearance. He's come back. He's now got another goal, yet another goal. This one will be one Brighton look at defensively, because I think it was Lewis Dunk was very, very deep, playing him on side.
Yes, I mean, you again just conceded a goal. We spoke about Brighton conceded the first goal and how vulnerable you can be after a goal goes in or either end, and nearly went 2-0 down, now found themselves scoring, going 2-1 down, and they are deep. They're in the wrong position, but Thomas Frank will be delighted because his team have just conceded a goal. I think it was their own fault. I think that Janssen came out of a position which gave Steele the opportunity to play the run. Really poor defending. But the same situation, Janssen then steps in to win a header, which starts the move off which Tony scores. So, yeah, talk about making a mistake and backing it up in a positive way. I think Brentford have done that much better than Brighton have today. I think Brighton have followed up mistake with mistake so far, and that's why they're behind.
Only Haaland and Kane have scored more goals away from home now than Ivan Toney.
Yeah, I was going to say, regardless of Brighton's position, I mean, you can obviously pick fault in any goal. Once Toney got in that position, his first touch to set himself and the composure to finish it, struck it into the far corner of Steele, kept it low, kept it hard. He's a brilliant goal scorer's goal, that was.
OK, in League One, Wycombe have equalised against MK Dons. David Wheeler with the goal, and a Danny Armstrong penalty has put Kilmarnock level as they look to climb away from those relegation places. Right, let's head to the Emirates. It looked like Leeds United were enjoying a little bit of possession there, Will Perry.
Yeah, this isn't really going to the script if you're an Arsenal fan, is it? Because 25 minutes in here at the Emirates, still Arsenal 0, Leeds 0, and Arsenal have been sluggish, far from their sharp selves. They're yet to have a shot on target. They've just wasted an Odegaard free kick, which dribbled into the box and was easy for Meslier to claim. Since then, Martinelli trying to charge Arsenal's front three forward, and he charged towards the Leeds goal, but it ended up going out for a goal kick as Zinchenko comes forward and Aronson tracks back to get a tackle in. But Leeds have had some really good spells. They look solid defensively. They're having a go without a recognised striker on the counter with the pace of Sinisterra, Aronson and Somerville. They look solid. They're scrapping for their lives. Arsenal, they need a win, don't they, in this title race? Arsenal 0, Leeds 0.
Yeah, Will saying it's not all going to plan for Arsenal. In terms of Leeds, they are frustrating them. Do you see a difference in them under Javi Gracia?
I do. I think they're harder to play against. I think they're more compact. And we looked at the team they put out today. They've got Bamford and Rodrigo available. You thought that they'd try and, maybe play one, but they've gone without either of them. And wondering if that was a negative decision, but they're playing really well. They're able to really block off the middle of the pitch. They're trying to force Arsenal into the wide areas, and every time Arsenal try and play it through, they win the ball back. And because they've then got Aronson, Sinisterra and I think it's Sorensen, they're all able to get forward really quickly. They're all able to break, they're all able to charge forward at real speed, and it's really frustrating Arsenal because they're not able to pick the ball up quickly in high areas where once they give it away, they're having to run 40 yards back before they get the ball back, and they're having to start all over again.
Let's head straight to the City ground. There's been a huge big chance for Wolves, Chris Latcham.
Yeah, the Nottingham Forest crossbar is still wobbling. A really good chance for Wolves. Their first of the game. Matthias Nunes flicking in a delightful little cross. It looked like his striker, Matthias Cunha, had got his flick onto the crossbar. At second look, it was the Forest defender, Moussa Niakate, who headed the ball backwards. So a nervy moment for Nottingham Forest. I'm sure he'll tell his teammates at half-time, I knew exactly what I was doing. Still 0-0, but Wolves are well and truly coming back into this one.
Well, Fulham started the game against Bournemouth the better. They've got the lead. Are they still dominating, Andy Stevenson?
In a word, yes, and we've just had a shot hit the crossbar here too. It was Anthony Robinson. He hit the woodwork, a beauty of a left-footed shot. It was always just rising, and it actually hit the top of the bar and went right over the stand, which shows you how much power he got behind the shot. But yeah, Fulham in total control. I mean, dare I say it, they look like a Premier League team playing a Championship team here at the moment. Bournemouth 0, Fulham 1.
And are Palace still pressing, Betty Glover?
Oh, they are indeed. It's Palace 0, Leicester 0. Iverson has put in a right shift in that Leicester goal so far. Palace have been piling on the pressure. They're all over Leicester. Iverson's made 3 saves to deny Zaha. Palace thought maybe they'd have a penalty for a handball a few moments ago. Cross into the box wasn't cleared properly. Dewsbury Hall blocked it for a corner. It was checked for handball, but nothing was given. But this, Ailey, is just relentless from Palace and Zaha. And literally just moments ago, Anderson got on the end of a corner, but his header went past the far post. But we thought that was a goal again for Palace. I don't know how this is 0-0, but it is. Palace 0, Leicester 0.
Well, there are plenty of goals in the Scottish Premiership, but still waiting for the first one at Ibrox, Gavin Wallace.
Indeed, Haley, yeah, still Rangers 0, Dundee United 0. We just had a decent chance, actually, for Rangers, who are, as you can see, absolutely obliterating Dundee United. And the possession stats, a bit like Spain and Scotland, to be fair. No goals yet, though. Cantwell on the edge of the box. Birighitti spilled it. Didn't appear to get up quick enough, and then upended Malik Tillman, but referee Don Robertson said no penalty. Rangers 0, Dundee United 0.
Oh, it's great fun sitting next to Glenn Murray when Brighton are playing. There's been another goal. Chris Wise.
The drama is unrelenting. It's 2-2. Brighton equalise for a second time. Solly March has made it. He's lifted the ball in. He's cut inside on the right-hand side. He's lifted it in with his left foot. It's a glorious cross. And Danny Welbeck lurking like the brilliant striker he is at the far post to nod it down into the grounds. What a game. Brighton 2, Brentford 2.
Let's head into League One quickly because there's been an equaliser at Hillsborough, Lee Blakeman.
Completely against the run of play. Lincoln level, 1-1. It was a shot from the edge of the area. David Stockdale in the Sheffield Wednesday goal looked like he got it covered. He fumbled it, and then Danny Mandroiu on hand, 4 yards out for a tap-in against the run of play, but it's 1-1.
Oh, a chance for Leeds at the Emirates, Will Perry.
Yeah, big chance for Crescencio Somerville, who played a lovely little 1-2 with Mark Rocker. As I said, Leeds having a real go. They're not just parking the bus and sitting back. And Somerville, ball came back to him inside the box. He just didn't get enough bend on it. You could see what he was trying to do, curl it into that bottom right-hand corner with a low shot, but it was too close to Ramsdale, who collected easily. Arsenal 0, Leeds 0.
Yeah, Leeds are beginning to look more and more dangerous as this game goes on, Leo.
Yeah, they're pushing Arsenal back. They've not come to sit and defend. When you go and play teams like Arsenal, you quite often, whether you mean to or not, just get sucked into defending really deep. You can't get out. Arsenal have so much possession, and then they win the ball back off you quickly when you get it. But Leeds are getting forward quickly when they get the opportunity. And as I said, with those players, Somerville, Sinisterra and Aronson, very creative, very mobile, and they're just catching Arsenal out. And for a better finish there, Glenn, Leeds could have been ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, you mentioned there that and I have been in teams where you do get sucked into being negative and sitting in, but it's not in Leeds' makeup, is it?
No, it's not. It's not.
I mean, it's a typical Leeds performance for me. It's plucky, it's brave, and they're going toe-to-toe with Arsenal. And why not at this stage of the season? What have they got to lose?
Absolutely. In terms of you've calmed down a little bit since that Brighton equaliser. Yeah. But listen, this one, we spoke when you mentioned Danny Welbeck before. It's just a typical, wait a minute, we have a goal? No, we don't have a goal. It is a typical Danny Welbeck goal. It's brilliant striker play, and it's a brilliant ball from Solly March.
Yeah, it is. Solly March just finds himself on the right-hand side with a bit of time on the edge of the area. He cuts back on his left foot, and he just lifts a very inviting ball to the back stick. It beats Pontus Jansson, who's lurking. No one else other than Danny Welbeck, who just rises highest just to nod it into the bottom corner. Pretty simple goal, really, but a very good one at that, 2-2 at the Amex.
Yeah, well, that goal that wasn't a goal that we thought was maybe a goal, but it wasn't, was at the Emirates. And Ramsdale's a busy man, Will Perry.
Well, here we go. Arsenal on the counter-attack. I'll tell you about that Leeds chance in a second, but Gabriel Jesus in acres of space on the left-hand side, and it's a really good tackle from Robin Koch, who clears almost up to the halfway line, but only as far as Zinchenko. Arsenal lurking on the edge of the Leeds box. Here's Xhaka. This is a good opportunity for Arsenal here. Here's Jesus again. Twists and turns and goes down! And it's a penalty! It's a penalty for Arsenal. Darren England points straight to the spot. That's exactly what I thought as he went down. While we work out if that is definitely going to be confirmed, let me tell you about the chance at the other end, because Arsenal yet to have a shot on target in this game, and it was a brilliant chance, this one from Jack Harrison. Jack Harrison got the ball after Somerville played it out on the left-hand side to him, left foot looking for the top left corner, and it was a decent save from Ramsdale. As we see a replay now, it's Rasmus Christensen who lunges in on Gabriel Jesus. He skips past him, but then it's Luke Ayling with the final challenge. That looks like it's going to be a penalty. Doesn't look like it's going to be overturned. Darren England pointing to the spot. Obviously, not too many complaints here from the Leeds defenders as well. And we'll wait to see who takes this penalty. Remember, Bukayo Saka on the bench for Arsenal, having started the last 52 Premier League games. He was ill this week. He didn't train on Friday. And the ball, as it stands, in the hands of Martin Odegaard, the Arsenal captain, who's going to take this penalty. We're still obviously getting checks from VAR. I've only seen that one replay. Glenn, Leon, any questions over that penalty?
Not from me.
Not from us.
Not from us, Will. Ailey wasn't too happy with it. I think she thinks he's gone down too easy, but no, for me, penalty kick. I think you can always tell from the way the defender reacts. Straight away, he put, wait, let me get this right, his head and his hands, his hands and his head.
I mean, there is contact, so he will know that there's contact.
Yeah, to be honest, Jesus should have done better. Will was describing the counter-attack seconds before. He should have done better with that, lost the ball, was fortunate to get it back, and it was as if I'm inside the box now, I'm going to do something, I'm going to make something happen. And he twisted and turned, won the penalty kick. Definitely a penalty for me after a good bit of play from Leeds, and now Jesus himself has the chance to convert the penalty.
Martin Odegaard clearly knows he's in my fantasy team. He's passed that penalty over.
Do you know what? I substituted him out of my fantasy Premier League team, and as he was standing over the ball, I was thinking, no, now Jesus has taken over. He just took a bit of the pressure off the young Brazilian. But really good play by Arsenal, and no question for me, it was a definite penalty.
Right, let's head back to Will Perry at the Emirates to go talk us through the penalty.
Whistle blown. Gabriel Jesus looking for his first goal since October. Stuttered run up. Beats Meslier. Arsenal 1-0 up. They don't deserve it, but they lead. And as things stand, they have an 8-point lead over Manchester City.
Yeah, his first goal in 6 months. I'm not sure that was the most convincing of penalties, but if it ends up in the back of the net, nobody's questioning it.
I would have took it. Back of the net. No, I think it was a composed penalty, actually. Quite a lot of pressure on. He's been out injured for a long time, like you say, his first goal in 6 months. But for him to stand up there, and listen, this afternoon's not going to plan for Arsenal so far. They've conceded quite a few chances. They could be behind. But this is what wins championships, or Premier League, should I say. I mean, these moments, Leeds should be ahead probably, but they're not. Goes right down the middle, it's 1-0.
Yeah, Leeds had 3 good efforts, all on target. Goalkeepers had to make some good saves, and throughout the season that'll happen. Your goalkeeper has to make some saves when it's not going your way. They've had a break up the pitch at home, and yet that's been the moment. And yeah, I thought it was a good penalty kick. I was hopeless at penalties, so every time anyone finds the back of the net, I think, well done.
I still can't believe you both think that that's a penalty. I think you need to watch on Match of the Day, decide who you're going to side with.
The replay that you were watching was slow motion. That's why I think you only tapped him.
Yeah, no, listen, well, Arsenal lead against Leeds. So let's get some reaction to the Premier League's lunchtime kickoff. Manchester City 4, Liverpool 1 is how it finished. So let's hear from Pep Guardiola.
Pep, that was a very, very impressive performance from your team.
Yeah, really. I'm completely agree. So the first minute until the end, 93 minutes was almost a perfect performance. So even with the 0-1 down, we were playing good, and Jack make a good save for the potential 0-2. But in general, the way we played, the way we found our spaces for the way they defend, our intensity, high pressing. Yeah, of course we play, fight to chase, Arsenal, and they are not used to be in this position right now, because always the last years always playing to win the Premier League, Champions League, and all the competitions. Last season for 2 games we can make a quadruple. So, and being now to play for the top 4, so it could be incredibly difficult for us as well. So, but a part of that, you have to perform the way we perform, because they continue to be incredible organized team, the threats in behind, these kind of things always happen. But we were so stable, and we stick the plan, and the players, all of them, they were magnificent.
Right, let's head straight into the Championship. There's been a mad couple of minutes at the Cardiff City Stadium. I'm sure it's pretty noisy in there, Laura Kenyon.
Cracking atmosphere, Ailey. It's Cardiff 1, Swansea 2. 2 goals in quick succession in the South Wales derby. Joel Peru with the initial shot came off the post, followed up by Liam Cullen, who finished off with his head to make it 2 goals to Swansea. But instant reaction from Cardiff. Jayden Philogene with a rocket with his left foot to make it Cardiff 1, Swansea 2.
Right, let's get back to the title race, and Pep Guardiola, a perfect day for him this afternoon. But do you think he'll be quite as calm and happy as he sits and watch Arsenal take the lead there? Or increase that gap at the top?
Because you don't think it was a penalty?
I'm going to do the whole, I need to see it again, but certainly I thought that was...
I think he's just going home very happy with his team's performance. As I said, I think that was one of the best performances from his team this season in what was a very potentially difficult game against Liverpool. He just mentioned how, they were going for the quadruple only last season. So it was always going to be a difficult game with that rivalry, and his team were magnificent. I think he would have expected Arsenal to win. You're hoping your rivals slip up, but it was all about his team getting the job done today, and they did that very well.
Yeah. Right, from the title race to the battle at the bottom, an absolutely massive goal at the City ground, Chris Latcham.
You're not wrong, Ailey. Huge goal in the dogfight, and it's gone the way of the Reds. Nottingham Forest. Brilliant build-up play between Morgan Gibbs-White and Oral Mangala. Through ball finds Brennan Johnson at the far post, and he shows great composure to thread the ball through Jose Sarr's legs. He's Nottingham Forest top scorer. There was some doubt over whether or not he could play. He missed international week with Wales. He's back, he's fit, and he scored his 8th goal of the season. Nottingham Forest 1, Wolves 0.
A lovely finish from Brennan Johnson. He's so important to Nottingham Forest this season.
Yeah, I mean, he's the catalyst that they get most of their goals from, and he just finds himself at the back stick there. A ball's lifted over the left back, and he just the first to get on it. But Sarr sort of half comes, doesn't he? He's a tight angle. The Wolverhampton goalkeeper half comes Sarr, and then he puts the brakes on, and he just catches it so clean. Brennan Johnson, it goes through Sarr's legs and hits the back of the net.
I think he catches keepers out with that, because he's actually been this season one of the best from tight angles.
Yeah.
You know, goal scorers score, you know, mainly in the centre, a bit of an angle. He scores from really acute angles, whether it's through the keeper's legs or in the air. He just catches them unawares at time. That was another really good finish from a tight angle, and could be a crucial goal for Forest.
Well, it's a goal that moves them up to 12th in the table as things stand this afternoon. It's so incredibly tight down there. The whole bottom half of the table, really.
It is, and I'm actually just watching the scenes at Nottingham Forest now, and it's all boiling over. There's a big melee. He went down, Brennan Johnson, and he felt it was a penalty. The referee didn't. He gave it the other way, and then a challenge came thundering in, and now it's all yellow cards and everything.
Johnson got
given a yellow card for diving?
I think it's diving, but from my point of view, I mean, I only seen it out of the corner of my eye. It did look like a penalty. The player come barging into the back of him, but we've just seen a rerun here. But yeah, he goes past the first one, and then.
Yeah, that was a dive for me.
It's a brilliant bit of skill. Look at this.
I think he's leaning on. Look, he's leaning on him to start. I think it's Bowley. He's leaning on him to start with. But, I'm not quite sure who it is, to be honest. But he's leaning on him to start with, and as he twists round.
It's Gomez.
Is it? And he gets around, and once he gets round, he lets go of Johnson, and that's the moment. He has another step, and then decides to go down once he's in the penalty area. I think the referee's called that brilliantly. And that's a no penalty for you, Ailey.
Is Glenn just the striker, just claiming for everything here?
I am all 4 goals in the league, but after seeing second glance, it wasn't a penalty.
Well, maybe I'll change my mind on the Jesus one when I see it again as well, right? There has been a goal in the Scottish Premiership at Ibrox. Gavin Wallace can bring us up to date.
Yeah, it comes for Rangers. Ailey, Rangers 1, Dundee United 0. Malik Tillman on the score sheet. It's been a pretty lacklustre game, if I'm being blatantly honest about it, though. Tavernier with a great ball out from the left. He found Todd Cantwell, and his sublime touch finds Tillman. All he had to do was slot it home beyond Birighitti, and that's exactly what he did. Rangers 1, Dundee United 0.
Right, let's head back to Kelly Summers for an update on the EFL this afternoon.
OK, we'll start in the Championship. As we approach half-time, this is how things stand. A reminder, the full times on my screen there. Luton 2, Watford 0 and Preston 3, Blackpool 1. Now, perhaps a bit surprising, there are still 6 games in the Championship that are still goalless. So the headlines as we approach the break, Swansea City 2-1 up in that big derby in Wales, and bottom side Wigan are 1-0 up against Queen's Park Rangers. Stoke also keeping up their good form against Coventry City. Into League One, where Barnsley and Ipswich are the 2 sides who are currently taking advantage of the fact that Plymouth, the league leaders, and 5th place at the start of the day, Bolton, aren't playing. A reminder, they are in the EFL Trophy final at Wembley tomorrow. Now, Sheffield Wednesday were going top when they were 1-0 up against Lincoln City, but as we heard, Mandrelu has equalised in that game. Talking of equalisers, Wickham are now 1-1 against MK Dons. Charlton are also, but before we go there, let's go back into the Championship. I said that Stoke had had a good start against Coventry. Nikesh Ragani, you've got a goal. Which way?
They've had a brilliant start. They lead by 2-0 now, and it was a little bit against the run of play. Stoke have been the better side in this first half, but Coventry just starting to come back into it at the end of that half. They were camped inside the Stoke half, and on the counter-attack, a big long ball forward down the right. Tyrese Campbell completely unmarked on that side of the pitch, just ran through one-on-one with Ben Wilson, and a really neat left-footed finish into the bottom corner. So Stoke look like they're going to go into the break. We've got 5 minutes left until half-time. 2-0 up here against Coventry.
Yeah, Stoke definitely one of the informed teams in the Championship at the moment. Back into League One, though, and as that goal went in, a goal also went in at Charlton. They're now 2-0 up against Shrewsbury. Charlton, without a win in 5 at home, look to be ending that. But League One is not getting the spotlight here. The Championship, after I said there was all those 0-0s, we've got the breakthrough at the John Smith Stadium. Which way is this one gone, Nesta McGregor?
It's Huddersfield 0, Middlesbrough 1. A moment of magic from Aaron Ramsey in Middlesbrough's midfield. He beat 2 players, then played a
through ball to Cameron Archer, who ran the length of the field before a low cross to Marcus Force, who simply tapped home. Remember, a win for Middlesbrough could have them in that second very, very important automatic promotion place. Huddersfield 0, Middlesbrough 1.
Floor manager Will, the big Middlesbrough fan, giving it the fists and very excited in the corner of the room there. Back to League One, though, where not too much has changed, but just to tell you that the big battle for 11th in this division is going the way of Fleetwood Town, now 2-1 up against Exeter City. Now, in League Two, Stevenage are currently dropping out of the top 3 on goal difference. A reminder, I said it before, they were 13 points clear of those playoff places of 4th on the 21st of January. They've been having a really poor run. They're 1-0 down to inform Northampton Town. Also, another game, not too much riding on it, but Doncaster are 2-0 down against Crewe Alexandra. Doncaster on an awful run of form. They've won just 1 of their last 8, but Crewe themselves been on a bit of a better run of form, in no danger. And just a couple of lines to bring you from the National League as well. I know that everyone is following this story at Wrexham. They are 2-0 up against Oldham. Paul Mullin on target with the second there once again. But in not such happy news, Maidstone United needed to win today to avoid relegation from the National League. They're currently 2-0 down to Boreham Wood, so could be heading for relegation.
Kelly, thank you very much. Right, we're going to head back to Selhurst Park. We mentioned before the match kicked off that Wilf Zaha had gone down in the warm-up, and it does not look good for him right now, Betty Glover.
Yeah, it doesn't at all. Really bad news this for Crystal Palace. Zaha has gone down on the edge of the box. He's just stood up, actually, and he's limping off the pitch. He was pulled up. It looked like it was a groin injury. He was clutching his left groin. There was no contact from Castagne, the Leicester defender, but Zaha went down on his own. It's a huge worry for Crystal Palace. He's limping off the pitch. The Palace fans are up on their feet. They're clapping him off. He's failed to score in his last 11 appearances, Ailey, but he has been taking shots left, right and centre today. So many chances. So Crystal Palace fans will not want to see this. As it stands, it's Palace 0, Leicester 0.
Yeah, we see the stats on the graphic there as well. 19 shots for Crystal Palace, none for Leicester.
Yeah.
But Zaha, you could see him coming off the pitch there. He looked visibly upset.
Yeah, he is. Just as the ball got played out, we're talking, you spotted it yourself, Ailey, in the warm-up, how he seemed to feel something in the warm-up. You feel this is probably what it was, because it was just a simple pass to him and he just overstretched, and he's been heavily involved in these stats in the first half. We've been talking about a team in Palace that hasn't been exciting, hasn't gone forward enough, certainly hasn't created enough chances, definitely hasn't scored enough chances, but those stats are brilliant. Roy Hodgson will be delighted with that first half of a performance. The only thing missing is the goal, but what a turnaround in his first game.
19 attempts is some feat
in one half.
Yeah,
of
well,
football,
we've not even completed the half yet
in football.
But it's sad to see Wilfred hobble off like that. Like you said, he was visibly upset, and do you know what? If that's bad, that might be the last time he's at Selhurst Park, because his contract runs out this year, so it's a big disappointment for them.
Yeah, you can always tell, I think, from a player's reaction how bad the injury is. Right, let's head to Ashton Gate. Has there been a goal, Hamish Marshall?
It has. It's gone to Bristol City. The home side lead by a 1-0 in the first minute of added time. And it's Tommy Conway back in the side this afternoon. Moved down the right-hand side and he finished home from about 12 yards out. 10 for the season for him. Bristol City 1, Reading 0.
Right, half-time whistles have started to go around the Premier League grounds. First one at the Vitality, and Fulham worthy of their half-time lead, Andy Stevenson.
Absolutely, Ailey. No Mitrovic, no problem so far. Fulham have this narrow lead, but have been in control for the majority of the half. It was a really well-worked goal down the left. Andreas Pereira started and finished the move. Pereira out to Solomon on the wing, Solomon inside to Harrison Reed, and then Reed calmly side-footed the ball across to the on-running Pereira, who finished brilliantly past Neto. Anthony Robertson also hit the woodwork with a beauty of a left-footed shot, and Pereira saw an ambitious bicycle kick go just over and wide. Bournemouth came back into things towards half-time. Dongo Watara had the Cherries' only real chances. He did well to get the ball out from under his feet and get a shot away, but it went wide of the post. Probably should have done better, and then he saw a different shot come down off the bar and hit the goal line. It didn't cross the line. There was an offside flag in there anyway. Wouldn't have counted. It's a well-deserved lead for the away team. There were a few boos amongst the home supporters. Bournemouth 0, Fulham 1.
It's also half-time at the City Ground, and I imagine a very happy home support at the halfway point, Chris Letcham.
Yeah, they're all on their feet as the players head back down the tunnel. It's been a really good watch if you're a Nottingham Forest fan. Morgan Gibbs-White has been excellent in midfield against his old club. He had a hand in the goal. He played the pre-assist pass before Brennan Johnson raced through and threaded the ball through Jose Sarr's legs to put Nottingham Forest in front. He then went down wanting a penalty but was booked for a dive. Our studio guys think, yeah, a well-deserved yellow card. Wolves did hit the bar from a defensive header. Nottingham Forest's Niakate turning the ball onto his own crossbar, but then late on Emmanuel Dennis went for the sensational. His overhead kick was as high as Gareth Bale's in the Champions League final, but he couldn't get his foot over it. It sailed into the home fans. 1-0 Nottingham Forest lead at half-time, and with it so tight down the bottom, they will want to hold on to that lead.
Well, plenty of positives for Crystal Palace in that first half and their first match under Roy Hodgson on his return, but a real blow right before the break, Betty Glover.
Yeah, indeed. At half-time, it's Palace 0, Leicester 0. Roy Hodgson said before kick-off that he wanted to see energy, enthusiasm and a lack of fear from his side. Well, Palace have given him just that. They've been ruthless, Ailey. Took just 30 seconds for Zaha to have his first chance and test Iverson in that Leicester goal. Since then, Iverson has been very busy. This stat sums it up nicely. They've had 19 shots. Leicester have had none. Just before the break, Elise had a brilliant play down the right-hand side. Passed it to Anderson, who swung it in from outside the area, and it fell to Zaha, who took a shot, but his shot just hit the post. Hodgson will be really pleased with that first half, but like you say, the downside is that Zaha has had to come off. He was on the edge of the box, about to cross the ball in, when all of a sudden he collapsed to the floor, holding his groin, so he's limped off. Jordan Ayew came on just before the whistle. Leicester have looked very poor. They were clinging on, and you'll think they'll be very happy for that half-time whistle. It's Palace 0, Leicester 0.
Well, possibly not vintage in terms of performance for Arsenal in that first half, but they have the lead, Will Perry.
Yeah, Arsenal 1, Leeds 0. Mikel Arteta's side definitely not at their best, but they lead thanks to that Gabriel Jesus penalty. The Brazilian won it and scored it, having been brought down by Ayling in the box. He sent Meslier to his left and slotted down the middle for his first goal since October. Jesus wasted a huge opportunity at 0-0 with an unmarked header over the bar from 7 yards out, but he made amends, didn't he? Arsenal saw an effort cleared off the line with Meslier in no man's land following a clearance. Martinelli tried to catch him out from distance, but Ayling was there to get him out of jail. As for Leeds, they had been the better team before the goal. Ramsdale denying Christensen, Somerville and Harrison. The last the pick of the bunch with a smart stop at the near post. And Arsenal nowhere near full cylinders, but they lead, and as it stands, they have that 8-point cushion on City. Arsenal 1, Leeds 0.
Well, we were expecting a cracker at the Amex. We've had exactly that. What a brilliant first half, Chris Wise.
And didn't want that half-time whistle to come, if truth be told. A game that really epitomises Brighton and Brentford's season. It's just been great to watch. 2-2 at half-time. Twice Brentford led through a Janssen header from Jensen's pass from the left and Tony's calm finish. But twice Brighton have equalised, and all these goals in the first 28 minutes. Matoma lobbing the goalkeeper after Jason Steele, the Brighton goalkeeper's excellent assist. Glenn Murray, and then the equaliser from Danny Welbeck, made by March, caressed into the penalty area, finished by Welbeck at the far post. Complete and utter chaos, and we're here for it. 2-2.
Well, don't forget, you can see all the goals and interesting penalty decisions from the Premier League on Match of the Day tonight. Mark Chapman is in charge, and he'll be joined by Alan Shearer and Micah Richards from 10:20 on BBC One. Well, it's half-time at Ibrox. Rangers are taking on Dundee United. Gavin Wallace.
Yeah, if I'm being blatantly honest, it's been a game where it's been really lacklustre. Rangers 1, Dundee United 0. However, for want of a better phrase, Ailey, Rangers got the finger out halfway through the first half. The hosts enjoyed the lion's share of the possessions, but at times really didn't help themselves. Tom Cantwell, though, with a great chance on 24 at the edge of the box. Birighitti spilled, and Tillman was upended in the follow-up, no penalty. The goal came on 38 when James Tavernier found the ex-Norwich midfielder Todd Cantwell, whose sublime touch just gave him that chance to slip in Tillman, and all he had to do was slide it beyond Birighitti for his 9th of the season. United, though, have had a good chance. That came on 35, and Craig Sibbald skiffed one off the bar. Rangers 1, Dundee United 0.
Elsewhere in the Scottish Premiership, Sean Goss has curled in a free kick for Motherwell away to Hibs. That's his first goal for 364 days. Lawrence Shanklin came on as a sub in Scotland's win against Spain. There's another tick for mentioning that. He gave Hearts an early lead, but Kilmarnock have turned the table through Danny Armstrong and Christian Doidge. Not a good day at all for St Johnstone's Remy Matthews. He scored an own goal against Aberdeen, or indeed for his teammate Andy Considine, who was sent off on the day of his 36th birthday. And St Mirren lead Livingston by 3 goals, including 2 penalties, both given after VAR reviews and both converted by Mark O'Hara. Right, let's head into the Championship. It's half-time at Carrow Road. A big match between Norwich and Sheffield United. Mike Webber.
Indeed, Norwich 0, Sheffield United 0. Anel Ahmedhodzic rattling Norwich's crossbar. Marquinhos chipping over for Norwich. The best chances. But this game's become more feisty as it's gone on. Typified by Max Aarons and George Baldock getting yellows for a tussle over the ad hoardings by the fans, which brought in the other players for what I'm sure they would call, and Glenn Murray would call if he was involved, just a little friendly hugging and chatting and a few words. Nothing more serious than that. 0-0.
OK, let's head round some more of the Championship grounds. Half-time whistles are blowing, and it is Middlesbrough who are leading at the break. Nesta McGregor.
Yeah, by a goal 2-0. A pretty mundane first half, if I say so myself. That was before Aaron Ramsey decided to drop the shoulder, beat 2 players. Then inside his own half, playing Cameron Archer. Archer could have shot, but actually picked out Mikel Force for a simple tap-in. Huddersfield did have an effort cleared off the line before that, but they do look like a team with relegation worries. They're nervous, they're lacking ambition and ideas at times. I've done the maths, and Neil Warnock's given over 1,000 team talks. This one should be simple. Lads, everything you've done so far, just don't do it again. Still, Huddersfield 0, Middlesbrough 1.
Right, Kelly's back now with the half-time news in Leagues 1 and 2.
Yes, I am indeed. League One first. Let's hear about the first half at Hillsborough. Sheffield Wednesday versus Lincoln City. Lee Blakeman's been watching. I think we are struggling to get hold of Lee Blakeman at the moment then. So let's bring you up to speed with all of the scores in League One. Promotion chasing Barnsley suffered a surprise midweek defeat at Exeter, but they are 3 goals up against Morecambe, with Devante Cole and Herbie Kane amongst the scorers. Charlton are heading for their first win in 6 home games, with Scott Fraser, Albie Morgan and Jeswan Raksaki on target versus Shrewsbury. Third place Ipswich leads 6th place Derby, courtesy of Connor Chaplin's 20th goal of the season in all competitions. 2 goals from Jack Marriott have given Fleetwood a 2-1 lead against Exeter. Playoff hopefuls Wickham, though, fell behind early on against MK Dons, but they have now equalised through David Wheeler, who has scored against the club where he spent half a season on loan several years ago. Let's now move into League 2, where it is 1st versus 4th. That's Leyton Orient against Carlisle. Kate Mason.
That's right, Kelly. It is still 0-0 here, and 2 players to really keep an eye on. Unfortunately for Carlisle, one's had to go off. The Nottingham Forest loanee Finn Back was creating all the trouble down the right flank, but he has just returned from injury today, and he's just had to go off before half-time. So a real shame that for manager Paul Simpson. For Leyton Orient, creating all the trouble is top scorer Paul Smith. We'll be watching him in the second half. It's 0-0 still.
Will also stay second, play third. Northampton versus Stevenage. What's the latest at half-time, Mike Williams?
Well, as things stand, Kelly, Northampton closing the gap on League 2 leaders Leyton Orient to 3 points, while Stevenage are currently dropping out of the automatic promotion places. The home side took the lead here early on. Striker Louis Apperet with his 7th of the season, slotting home from close range after a long throw-in caused some hesitancy in the Stevenage defence. Other than that, not too much to shout about. The Cobblers fully deserve this lead. Stevenage without a single shot on target in this first half. They need to regroup to stop their slide continuing. As for Northampton, well, they're 45 minutes away from a 5th win in 6.
OK, elsewhere in League 2, Barrow are unbeaten in 4 home games and look set to make it 5. They lead at the break thanks to an own goal from Gillingham keeper Glenn Morris. Crewe haven't won away since November, but Courtney Baker-Richardson and Connor O'Riordan have given them a 2-goal cushion at Doncaster. Hartlepool are another side fighting for survival, and they fell behind after just 4 minutes. Rushy and Hepburn Murphy scored for visitors Swindon Town. And Ollie Clark's 5th goal of the season has put playoff-chasing Mansfield ahead against Crawley. And that's where we're at in the EFL, Ailey.
Kelly, thank you very much. We're going to take a quick pause so that viewers on BBC One can join us. But if you're watching us on the iPlayer, the BBC Sport website or the red button, you can stay exact.
This week on the show, an almost perfect start to the Euro 2024 qualifiers for the home nations as England, Wales and Scotland have a positive start to their campaigns.
Good afternoon, welcome to Final Score. All the goals as they go in across the Premier League, the EFL and in Scotland. Hello to those of you joining us on BBC One. We have been live on the BBC iPlayer and the BBC Sport website since 2:30, as we are every week. Glenn Murray and Leon Osman have been keeping me company all afternoon, and we'll hear from both of them very soon. Earlier, we had a big result at the Etihad. It finished Manchester City 4, Liverpool 1. We'll have more on that shortly, but first let's get around the ground, starting with the league leaders on home turf today, and we'll get to the Emirates with Will Perry.
Still waiting for the teams to come out for the second half, Ailey, but the half-time score, Arsenal 1, Leeds 0. As it stands, Arsenal on the way to restoring their 8-point lead over Manchester City at the top of the Premier League. In front through a Gabriel Jesus penalty 10 minutes before the break. He won it after Ayling brought him down and slotted down the middle past Meslier for his first goal in 6 months. Jesus in for Saka today, who's on the bench having been ill this week. He wasted a huge chance before the goal, heading over the bar unmarked from 6 yards out. Leeds, though, are having a real go. They haven't just parked the bus here at the Emirates. The pace of Sinisterra, Aronson and Somerville have caused uneasiness for Arsenal on the counter-attack. Christensen, Somerville and Harrison have all forced Ramsdale into saves, but Arsenal have been flat, they've been sluggish. The atmosphere is a little sluggish as well here at the Emirates, but they won't care now because they lead 1-0 and they are pulling ahead of Manchester City. Arsenal 1, Leeds 0.
Well, neither Brighton nor Brentford have ever competed in major European competition. They both have that in their sights between now and the end of the season. They meet today at the Amex. We thought this one would be a cracker. It's lived up to it, Chris Wise.
Oh, it's been fantastic, Ailey, laying out their case for continental football next season. Going forward, both exceptional. Defensively, less so, but it's a joy to watch. And 2-2 probably be about right after that 45 minutes. Twice Brentford have led in this game. Janssen with a close-range header, his first of the season from Jensen's pass. What a finish that was as well. Mitoma equalised after Jason Steele, the Brighton goalkeeper, provided the long assist downfield. Mitoma lobbed Raya. Immediately Brentford retook the lead through Ivan Toney. Brighton's defending all over the place for that goal. And then Danny Welbeck equalising after Solly March's cross from the right-hand side. It has been a fascinating watch. Tactically, it's really wonderful to see. And it's Brighton 2, Brentford 2.
Well, Roy Hodgson is back in the Palace dugout today, and they've had a very entertaining first half. They've had 20 shots on goal. That's more than any Premier League game in the first half since 2015. They also had to say goodbye to Wilf Zaha at half-time. He went off injured. And Leicester City look like they're making changes, Betty Glover.
Great stat that, by the way, Ailey. Yeah, indeed. At half-time, it was Crystal Palace 0, Leicester 0. They've just got back underway. Roy Hodgson back at Selhurst Park. His second era has begun. He's got a job on his hands. Palace are still, after their first win of 2023, being dragged into that relegation battle. Likewise, Leicester. Roy Hodgson said pre-match he wanted to see a lack of fear from his players, and I think he will be very happy with that first half. half. It was relentless from Palace, who had 20 shots. Leicester had none. Some brilliant chances from Wilf Zaha as well, who tested Iverson in goal, but he had to limp off the pitch just before the half-time whistle with a groin injury. A very, very big blow for Palace. Leicester's only chance was Christiansen's scuff cross off the post, but it really has all been Palace, and they look up for it under Roy. Currently, it's Crystal Palace 0, Leicester 0.
Another huge one, and those teams all battling it out at the bottom at the City Ground. Nottingham Forest took first blood against Wolves. Chris Latcham.
Yes, they have. What was it Fergie called this time of year, Ailey? Squeaky bum time it is for these 9 clubs down the bottom, and Forest and Wolves fit that bill. Forest have a really important lead, you're right. Brennan Johnson got the goal from a tight angle after recovering from a tight groin. Morgan Gibbs-White has dictated the game against his old club. Wolves haven't offered enough, simply, but they did have the Forest goal frame wobbling. Moussa Niakate headed onto his own crossbar under a bit of pressure. Big team talks must have been needed from both dugouts. Whoever wins can breathe easier. Failure to win will keep it squeaky. Forest lead Wolves by a goal to 0.
Well, Bournemouth are the only team in the bottom 3 playing this afternoon at the moment. They're up against a Fulham side without Mitrovic and without Willian, but it is the visitors who have taken the lead, Andy Stevenson.
Yes, and Fulham definitely deserve this 1-0 lead. Bournemouth off the pace for much of the first half, but have started this second 45 minutes really brightly, it has to be said. The Fulham goal came from Andreas Pereira, a stylish finish after great work down the left from Manor Solomon, and then Harrison Reed in the box. Solomon and Carlos Vinicius in today for Mitrovic and Willian. There was also a cracking left-footed shot against the bar from Anthony Robinson. Bournemouth did have a couple of first-half chances. Dongo Watara pulled a shot wide from the edge of the 6-yard box and then saw another effort come down off the bar, but not over the goal line. It wouldn't have counted anyway, as the assistant had his flag up. The Bournemouth fans around me definitely demanding more from their team and getting it in the first few minutes of this second half. Christie and Tavernier are on for Ouattara and Anthony, and the crowd are up for this one now. Bournemouth 0, Fulham 1.
Well, in the lunchtime kick-off, Manchester City hosted Liverpool with the aim of putting pressures on leaders Arsenal. Radio 5 Live football correspondent John Murray was there.
No Haaland, but no problem for the defending champions. Pep Guardiola said this afternoon it's not a big issue with Erling Haaland's recovery from a groin injury. He was just not ready. City did have an issue to deal with when they were 1-0 down in the 17th minute. Salah sweeping in the opening goal after Jota beat the offside trap. But Haaland's replacement, Alvarez, came up with the goods and the goal within 11 minutes to make it 1-1. And City took a grip on it early in the second half. Mahrez involved in both, as first De Bruyne, then Gundogan scored. And when Grealish made it 4-1, it was done. Liverpool clearly felt City midfielder Rodri should have been shown a second yellow card for a clumsy challenge on Gakpo when it was 1-1. They had a case. Referee Simon Hooper decided not, and by the end, it was resoundingly City's day.
We have a goal at the Emirates, and it's a great start to the second half for Arsenal.
Well, as you heard from John Murray, it was resoundingly City's day. This looks like it's going to be Arsenal's day. They've started this first half really sluggish, but in the second half, wow, what, just under 2 minutes in, it's Ben White who has doubled their lead. Great work down the left-hand side from Gabriel Martinelli. It's Zinchenko who feints and then plays him in. Martinelli, the Brazilian, to the byline, gets a brilliant cross in, right to the far post, right through about 4 Leeds defenders, and there's Ben White to finish off the underside of the crossbar, and Arsenal lead Leeds by 2-0.
Right, more on that goal in a second, because we've had another goal at the Vitality. It's a huge one for the home side, Andy Stevenson.
Oh, chalk and cheese for Bournemouth. Poor in the first half, revitalised in the second half, and it's a half-time substitute, Marcus Tavernier, who scored an absolute belter, a curling finish with his left foot from the corner of the area right into the top corner. Sensational from the man signed last summer, and you can hear the atmosphere here at the Vitality is completely different to how it was in the first 45 minutes. Bournemouth 1, Fulham 1.
What a start to the second half in the Premier League, and what a game at the Amex. Chris Wise. Right, we've lost Chris. Sorry to come to you, Glenn,
That's
again.
fine.
But listen, Brighton, they're going to have to come from behind one more time.
I'm getting
Brentford
used to it this afternoon.
Are back in front.
Yes, they are. It was a free kick from the left-hand side. Mbeumo swings it in just in that corridor of opportunity between the goalkeeper and the defensive line, and the first man to react to it was Pinnock, who just taps it into the goal about 4 or 5 yards out past Jason Steele and wheels away. 3-2 now at the Amex, and Brentford have been in the lead 3 times.
And they have. This game has been an absolute cracker, but Arsenal starting the second half a lot better, I think, than they played in the first half. And Ben White putting them comfortably now.
Yeah, I mean, he scored his first goal only a couple of weeks ago at the same end, and this one is very similar to that one as well. I mean, Arsenal, that goal just seemed to settle them down before half-time. They seem a different team in the second half. They're more comfortable. They're not chasing the game, and we're starting to see them really control possession, and that's where the game comes from. Zinchenko, Martinelli, good play down the left, fires it across. Ben White in that advanced position, and you can never write Leeds off because of the type of team they are, but Arsenal very much in control.
Yeah, and a massive goal for Bournemouth. They have started the second half really, really well. They had a really good chance before the goal, and then they put this one away, and that's huge for them.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they've attacked this second half how I expected them to come out to start the game in general, but they were just so passive first half, and Fulham obviously took the lead, but the second half, much better reaction. And yes, Solanke missed quite a good chance. It went through his legs on the goal line, but then this one, I think it's probably the goal of the afternoon so far. It's the Fulham goalkeeper Leno just palms a corner out, and it's Tavernier on the edge of the area, just gets the ball. I'm just watching because Solanke just nearly got another to make it 2-1, but it falls to Tavernier. He gets it on his left foot and he swings it back across the goal into the far top corner. What a brilliant finish from him to make it 1-1 at the Vitality.
He'd only just come on at half-time, so talk about sending a substitute on and asking for a reaction. You're 1-0 down, go get us back into the game, and he certainly responded.
Yeah, absolutely right. It was Crystal Palace who dominated the first half. Leicester City made those changes at the break. Are they coming back into it, Betty Glover?
They are, yeah, they are indeed. Much better start to this second half from Leicester City. It's Palace 0, Leicester 0. Leicester had their first shot of the afternoon. Daka passing to Castagne, whose effort was blocked. Moments later, James Maddison then had a go, who was very quiet the whole of the first half. Barely saw him. Dewsbury Hall dancing around the defence, laid it off to James Maddison, who took a shot, but it was well saved. That was his first shot on target this game. So, yeah, Leicester looking much more confident and positive. Brendan Rodgers definitely said something to them at half-time that has had an impact. It's Palace 0, Leicester 0.
Right, in the Scottish Premiership, Celtic need just 6 more wins to be crowned champions. They play tomorrow, so for Rangers it's just about trying to keep that pressure on. And so far, against bottom-of-the-table Dundee United, they are doing just that, Gavin Wallace.
They have indeed. Ailey, Rangers 1, Dundee United 0. Lacklustre first half, if I'm being blatantly honest. Rangers scared into getting the finger out. Craig Sibbald on 35 skiffed one over the Rangers bar as Alan McGregor makes his 500th appearance for Rangers this afternoon. But just a couple of minutes later, the host broke the deadlock. James Tavernier, we're hearing all about his brother. Well, James himself fed in Todd Cantwell. The touch from the former Norwich midfielder was exquisite. The pass through to Tillman, and as cool as you like, he slipped home beyond Birighitti for his 9th of the season. The visitors haven't won this calendar year yet, Ailey, and to be honest, based on the first 45 minutes, there's more chance of Spain winning at Hampden. It's Rangers 1, Dundee United 0.
Yeah, I can take those references all day long. Right, let's get back into the Premier League because it's all kicking off on the touchline. Red cards, Chris Latcham.
Red cards for 2 of the backup coaching staff, 1 apiece for each side. So basically, there was a bit of an incident on the field when Adama Traore went down in the box. He wanted a penalty, he didn't get a penalty, and he reacted, and then the players all had a coming together, and then the coaches and the coaching staff all had a coming together as well. I don't know if you remember the EFL Cup tie in January between these teams. They had to be separated at the end of that game, so it's been bubbling under. I'm not exactly sure who the coaches are that have been sent off, but I think Chris Kavanagh, who himself was in the news when he was barged by Mitrovic, the Fulham player, a couple of weeks ago, I think he's handled this really well, just to take the sting out of a potentially sensitive issue in this game. We play on, Forest lead 1-0.
Right, let's head into the EFL. Last night, Burnley were held to a goalless draw by Sunderland. It still extended their lead to 14 points. At lunchtime today, Luton won their derby with Watford 2-0, and they stay in fourth. Second place, Sheffield United are at Norwich today. So let's get the latest from that one with Mark Webber.
0-0. Plenty of VIPs here for this VIG. Very important game. The first half best chance, Anel Ahmedhodzic hitting the crossbar for Sheffield United. The second half best chance so far as a break-off as Sheffield United push forward. Marquinhos for Norwich, causing Wes Fodringham to have to extend his hand to push the ball away for a chance for them. Two chances there that dictate what's happening in the game. Fairly even, fairly feisty. 0-0.
We've got another goal in the Premier League, and what a sucker punch this is for Crystal Palace, Betty Glover.
Massive sucker punch. What a goal this is for Leicester City after a first half where they barely did anything. They have come out fighting in this second half, and it is Ricardo Pereira who came off the bench in this second half. An amazing shot just outside the area, took it on his left foot, and it went right into that top left-hand corner. Devastating here for Crystal Palace. As it stands, Crystal Palace 0, Leicester 1.
Well, what an absolute screamer that is from Ricardo Pereira. Brilliant finish, but Palace will be kicking themselves.
They will, because of how much they dominated that first half. They really did have Leicester on the back foot. Leicester couldn't get out, didn't have a shot, didn't have hardly went into the Crystal Palace half, but half-time changes things, and yeah, we're just seeing another goal.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I'll finish. Half-time changes things, and brilliant goal by Leicester. Made a tactical change. Castagna and Pereira both down that right-hand side. Maybe even changed formation. Got the rewards.
Yeah, well, it was a dominant performance from Manchester City today. It's being a dominant second half for Arsenal, Will Perry.
Well, it's like North London buses. You wait 6 months for one and then you get two. Gabriel Jesus hasn't found the net since the 1st of October. It's the 1st of April, and no joke, he has a double, and it's a brilliant setup, this one from Leandro Trossard, and it's scooped into the back of the net by Gabriel Jesus. Brilliant finish from him. He's back. Doesn't matter that Saka's on the bench. We were saying before, Saka started the last 52 Premier League games. He was ill on Friday, didn't train, and it hasn't affected Arsenal one little bit. They're just checking for offside here. It's tight, but I'm sure that's going to be given. Leandro Trossard is the questionable player when it comes to the offside. He gets through, pulls it back to Jesus, as I say, scoops it past Meslier. Game, set and match. Arsenal 3, Leeds 0.
Leon, that is just brilliant work by Trossard, isn't it, to set that up?
Yeah, I mean, he's been a terrific signing. He's a very Arsenal-like player. He's good in tight spaces. He can manipulate the ball really well. He can play in multiple positions, and he's found himself as a centre forward. It's not phased him. His movement's been good, and then you trust him with the ball inside the penalty area. He twists, he turns, gets on the outside, drops his shoulder, and just fires it across. And Jesus, like all good strikers do, Glenn, just getting himself in the right position and getting on the end of it.
It's actually Jesus that gives him the ball in the first place, isn't it? He plays it through to Trossard. Trossard does a little bit of skill in the box, cuts it back to the on-rushing Jesus, who finishes with a plum for his second of the afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, Trossard's somebody you would have watched at Brighton a lot.
Yeah.
Were you surprised at all when Arsenal came in for him?
I played with Leandro. Yeah, he's a really good player. He's always been on the fringes of the Belgian team just because of the quality they've got, but I always feel as though he should get more minutes for his country. And I think since he's gone to Arsenal, he's been fantastic. Like Leon says, he can play anywhere across that front three. He seems comfortable and he seems at home at Arsenal.
Yeah, he's having a great season. Right, there's been a goal in Scotland at Ibrox. Gavin Wallace.
There has indeed, and it's another for Rangers. Ailey, Rangers 2, Dundee United 0. And it's all about James Tavernier. This time it was a quick ball out from Alan McGregor. James Tavernier down that right-hand side, slotted it in. Malik Tillman was there and from about 10-12 yards, put it well beyond Mark Birighitti in goal. Rangers 2, Dundee United 0.
Well, there's a smile back on Roy Hodgson's face. Betty Glover.
Oh, Crystal Palace are back in it, and it was from a free kick. Eberiche Eze straight into the top corner. It kind of went off the bar, landed and just went over the line. Absolute celebrations here at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace have managed to pull one back, and I'll tell you what, Roy Hodgson looks very pleased with himself, Ailey. It is Crystal Palace 1, Leicester 1.
Right, let's head back into the Championship. There's been a couple of goals to bring you up to date with at the John Smith Stadium. Nesta McGregor.
Just the three. Huddersfield Town 3, Middlesbrough 1. Listen, the home side were poor in the first half, and whatever Neil Warnock said at half-time, it's working. Firstly, after 21 seconds, we had Josh Ruffles run in and blast one in with his left foot. A few seconds ago, Josh Koroma curled one from the edge of the box. And just before you came to me, Huddersfield Town had a corner, and Matty Pearson got on the end of a flick on and sort of kneed it in from close range. This has been a completely different setup from what we've seen in the first half. Michael Carrick, hands in his pocket, looks absolutely shell-shocked. Huddersfield 3, Middlesbrough 1.
And there's been a goal in that huge one at Carrow Road. Norwich up against Sheffield United. Which way, Mark Webber?
When the margins are thin, you've got to take your opportunities, haven't you? It's Norwich 0, Sheffield United 1. Although, hold on a minute here, because the Norwich players are rounding around the assistant referee and the referee, saying that the judgment is not right. It's McAtee who taps it in from about 2 yards in. The Norwich fans, Norwich players rather, and the fans are claiming offside from Max Lowe beforehand. But the referee's having none of it, the assistants having none of it, and the goal stands. Norwich 0, Sheffield United 1.
Right at the other end of the Championship, Wigan cut further adrift by that 3-point deduction, but they are at home to QPR and they are winning, Rich Wolfenden.
They are, and they're one step towards recovering that 3-point reduction because they lead 1-0 thanks to Max Power's early penalty in the first half. Second half, though, QPR have been the better side. There's been a great chance for Dickey, who threw himself across in towards the far post. Unfortunately, the QPR defender couldn't get anything on it, so QPR still struggling to find that equaliser. Wigan lead 1-0.
Right, let's check in with Kelly now on the second half stories so far in the EFL.
Yeah, we'll start with the Championship. Here are the scorelines as they stand. But as you were saying before, Ailey, Burnley played last night. They were held 0-0 at home to Sunderland. Sunderland, the first team to stop Burnley scoring at Turf Moor this season. But it does mean that Vincent Kompany's side need just 8 points from their remaining games to be promoted automatically back to the Premier League. As for today's games, it's very much derby day in the Championship. We've already had 2 of those. It finished Luton Town 2, Watford 0 in the first Beds Hearts derby at Kenilworth Road with fans in since all the way back in 2006. Luton strengthening their chances of finishing in the playoffs and potentially even looking at those automatic spots. Blackpool's woes, though, continued. They lost 3-1 to rivals Preston. And in the 3 p.m s, the big derby is the Wales one. Swansea City 2-1 up against Cardiff City. Laura Kenyon keeping us up to date with those. A reminder, Cardiff started the day just 3 points above the drop zone. Into League One, where there are just 10 games kicking off at 3 o'clock. That is because tomorrow is the EFL Trophy final, and that will be played between the League One leaders Plymouth and Bolton Wanderers, meaning while they're focusing on that, the teams around them in the promotion mix-up will be looking to capitalise, and the teams doing that at the moment, Sheffield Wednesday, they may be being held by Lincoln, but they are going top on goal difference. Sheffield Wednesday haven't won in 4. Their 23-match unbeaten run came to an end. They lost to rock-bottom side Forest Green last weekend. But as it stands, they look to be getting a point today, which could take them top. Barnsley and Ipswich, though, very much taking advantage. Ipswich 1-0 up away at Derby County. Look at that, though. Barnsley 4-0 against Morecambe. And a shout-out there. Forest Green, I mentioned they got their first win since the 10th of December last weekend. They're 11 points from safety. It doesn't look like they're going to back that up today. 1-0 down to Portsmouth. Into League Two, where it's really interesting at the top. All of the top 6 are facing each other this weekend. Last night, Stockport and Salford drew 1-1. Then, the games at 3 p.m. that we're keeping a close eye on. Northampton 1-0 up against Stevenage. Northampton are the team in form at the top of League Two. And as it stands, Stevenage are going to drop out of the top 3 because they are losing today, and Carlisle are drawing with leaders Leyton Orient. A reminder, Stevenage were 13 points clear of 4th on the 21st of January. They've been on a torrid run of form, and it could have big ramifications for them today. And also news of a full time to bring you. Bradford City beat Grimsby Town by 3-2 in the early kick-off in this division, strengthening Bradford City's chances of finishing in the top 7. They've gone above Salford into 6th as it stands.
Kelly, thank you very much. Right, there's been a couple of chances around the Premier League. Let's start with a big one for Brighton, Chris Wise.
Yeah, this is such an absorbing game, and Brighton are just having a 5-minute spell at the moment where they're threatening what would be their third equaliser in this game. They're 3-2 down, but Alexis McAllister's made this. He's taken the ball on his chest about 15 yards inside Brentford's half, and then on the half volley, he sent a through ball for Solly March, raced onto it, low shot, good save by David Raya. He's made a couple of big ones actually in that Brentford goal, and they are still in front 3-2.
And another big chance for Brennan Johnson and Nottingham Forest, Chris Latcham.
A really big chance. So Wolves have pushed their fullbacks up the field, and Forest have been trying to expose the lack of pace in Craig Dawson as centre-back. So Dennis played through down the left-hand side. He was on a breakaway. His shot was well saved by Jose Sarr, and the rebound fell to Brennan Johnson. He shot the ball wide. Wolves have cottoned onto this. They've taken off Craig Dawson to try and have that little bit of extra pace at the back.
Right, a really important goal at St Andrews for the home side. Birmingham City have gone ahead. You can get details now from Ben Mundy.
Yeah, really important. 1 defeat in 4 coming into this. The hosts of Bostings this afternoon against the playoff chasers. Corner got regurgitated. Ball fell to Rida Hadrat. Smashed a low stinging drive from outside the box. Excellently executed. Big blue step towards 3 wins in 4. Birmingham 1, Blackburn 0.
Well, Coventry City were on great form coming into this one, but they are behind against Stoke City. Do they look like they might find a way back in, Nikesh Rogani?
Well, they've had the best chance in this second half, and it's their 18-goal man, Victor Gyökeres, fresh from scoring for Sweden in the week, his first competitive goal for his country. He got the ball on the half volley from just outside the area, struck it with the outside of his right boot. Really good save by Jack Bonham in the Stoke City goal. Got a hand to it, diving full pelt towards his left and tipped it onto the post. Agonisingly close for Coventry, but it's been their only real opportunity of this second half. Stoke still dominant, seeing a lot more of the ball and looking in full control at the moment. Coventry coming into this one unbeaten in 9. That record looks to be going up in smoke, as maybe their playoff dreams as well are. They're 3 points off the playoffs as it currently stands. They trail here by 2-0.
Well, no team in the South Wales derby has ever gone 4 wins in a row. The way things stand right now, Swansea could be about to do that. I hope Jason Mohammed isn't there, Laura Kenyon.
He is there. He's got his bobble hat on. I can see him. He's to the left of me, and it is Cardiff 1, Swansea 2. A pretty even fight, though, this second half. Both sides bringing in the changes. Swansea bringing on Ollie Cooper, who made his Wales debut in the international break. I'm making no predictions, Ailey. The South Wales derby, unpredictable, and Swansea with a track record for conceding late goals. It's Cardiff 1, Swansea 2.
Well, Millwall are the side that all those just outside the playoffs are chasing down, including West Brom. They both meet today at the Hawthorns. We're still waiting for the breakthrough, Casalon.
Absolutely, yeah. Still 0-0 here at the Hawthorns, although the Baggies really should have been ahead in the first half. Nathaniel Shalabah's looked assured in the middle of the park, but Adam Reach has missed a couple of chances wide and over. Millwall have been better in the second half. Couple of chances by Tom Bradshaw and Zion Fleming. Aileen, I'll be honest, I've had a fair few technical difficulties this afternoon trying to connect and work everything out to get to you, and I think both managers will be saying the same about their strikers. It's 0-0 here at the Hawthorns.
Yeah, I hear you with those technical difficulties. Been there many times. Right, let's head to Ashton Gate and hope there's no technical difficulties at all to hear what's been happening between Bristol City and Reading with Hamish Marshall.
Yes, Ailey, we're 3/4 of the way through this game. Bristol City 1, Reading 0. Going to form. The home side unbeaten here since Christmas. Lead their opponents who've not won away since November. Tommy Conway's 10th goal of the season from 12 yards in first half stoppage time, the difference. One decent chance for Reading though since the break. Tyrese Fonor, who's gone off, has been substituted now. He shot just wide from the edge of the box.
Well, what a second half it's been at the John Smith Stadium. There's another goal. Nesta McGregor.
Huddersfield Town 4, Middlesbrough 1, and this one should be filed in the footballing archives. Game of 2 halves, they just need to show it exactly this. I'm not quite sure how, but down the left-hand side, Danny Ward crossed the ball into the box. There were 4 Middlesbrough defenders in there, but none of them marking Matty Pearson, who's tapped home his second. This one looks like game, set and match. Huddersfield Town 4, Middlesbrough 1.
Yeah, incredible afternoon for Huddersfield. Let's head to the MKM Stadium. Hull City against Rotherham. Either side looking like they might find a breakthrough in this one, Andy Sixsmith.
More so Hull, I would say. It's still 0-0. Rotherham the better side, but Hull have had all the chances. The first in the first half, Adama Traore played in the pass for Ryan Longman, denied by a sprawling save. Ozan Tufan smashed the bar from close range in the second. Rotherham really need the win in this relegation battle. It's still 0-0.
Well, there's a big League One clash at Wembley tomorrow in the EFL Trophy final as Plymouth take on Bolton. So let's head into League One. Plenty of teams looking to try and put the pressure on at the top. Sheffield Wednesday, one of them. They are at home to Lincoln City. Lee Blakeman.
It's a great game, this, Ailey. Still 1-1, but it's all Sheffield Wednesday since half-time. Chance after chance, cross after cross. Michael Smith's gone through on goal, shot straight across it when he was unmarked as well. This point will send Sheffield Wednesday top of the table with Plymouth playing tomorrow, but they want all three. At the moment, 20 minutes to go, 1-1.
It is first against fourth in League Two at Brisbane Road. Leyton Orient against Carlisle United. Kate Mason.
The Leyton Orient crowd have finally come to life, Ailey. I talked about Paul Smith in the first half. Let's talk about him again. He made a great chance a few moments ago. It then came out to George Moncur, was then knocked away by Thomas Holley in the Carlisle goal. It has just now gone out for a corner for Leyton Orient. They're taking an extremely long time to line up whoever it is who's going to take it. I think George Moncur will finally run out. You can hear people are getting restive. I don't think we should stay here to find out what happens. It is still 0-0, but it's all Leyton Orient.
Yeah, it's a great afternoon in League Two because the top four are all playing each other. So let's get to Sixfields, where it is second against third, and it is the home side with the advantage, Mike Williams.
Yeah, and a really lively last 10 minutes here, Ailey. Northampton have hit the side netting twice in this second half on either side of the goal, but in the recent moments it has been Stevenage who have come back into it. Luke Norris just meeting Jake Forster. Kaski's free kick at the near post, glancing header though straight at the home keeper, and then at the other end, goal scorer for Northampton, Louis Appere, sent clean through, marauding run through one-on-one with the keeper. His shot just well saved. Really lively game, but it's Northampton still leading by a goal to nil.
Let's head back into the Premier League. Leeds have a corner, Will Perry.
Yeah, it's come to nothing. Just over 20 minutes of the 90 to play here at the Emirates. It's still Arsenal 3, Leeds 0. Ramsdale's done really well to deny Aronson, who tried to lift the ball over the Arsenal keeper, who's trying to keep that clean sheet intact. Christensen blasted over for the visitors. Saka is well enough to make an appearance on for Jesus. Jorginho's replaced Thomas Partey, who had a bit of an injury doubt playing for Ghana, or not playing for Ghana, as I should say, in the international break. The first time Saka hasn't started a Premier League game since December 2021, but he is on, much to the applause of the Arsenal supporters here. Rodrigo and McKennie on for Aronson and Sinistera. This one's done, isn't it? Arsenal 3, Leeds 0.
Right, let's head to the Amex. Brighton have come from behind twice before. It looks like they're trying to do it again, Chris Wise.
Oh, they're having some chances. They've just had another one from Lewis Dunk. Estepinan's cross on the left-hand side. Dunk, big old leap on the edge of the 6-yard box. Sent it over the top of the crossbar.
Yeah, well, I think we're having a few problems with Chris Wise today. We will get back to the Amex very shortly, but let's head to Selhurst Park. Palace look like they might find a way back in at all, Betty Glover?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it is very end-to-end here, Ailey. We've had a bit of a pause in play. It was a clash between Mark Gahey and James Maddison. Ball over the top. Gahey kind of put his arm across Maddison, obviously England teammate, knocked him down. Nothing really came of that, though, so it's still 1-1 here. Leicester's lead, of course, lasted just 3 minutes. Ricardo Pereira with his first goal of the season before Palace equalised. That goal went down as an Iverson own goal. Ailey, Palace had 22 shots on target, but finally scored through an own goal. Who would have thought? As I'm saying this, Maddison is on the attack, ball in, but Palace keeper manages to catch it with 2 hands. But yeah, as it stands, it is Palace 1, Leicester 1.
Yeah, so much happened in the Premier League all at that one moment. I forgot that Palace had equalised. We didn't speak about it. I mean, it was a wonderful free kick technique, but sadly Eze doesn't get to claim the goal.
Well, we thought it was a wonderful free kick, didn't we? Eze actually got the free kick on the edge of the area, and he stood up, brushed himself down, and decided to take it. And from behind, it looks like he scores, but from a different angle, it comes off the underside of the bar. It's bouncing out, and unfortunately for Iverson in the Leicester goal, it just catches his backside and bounces back into the goal. And like Betty says, though, you have all those attempts on goal, and then you score an own goal.
It doesn't matter. It's only all that matters is it goes in the back of the net.
Of course,
isn't it?
It was
especially for Palace right now.
Palace needed that immediate response because they'd had so many opportunities in the first half. And to be fair, Iverson had made some really good saves to keep the scores level in that first half. But when you concede like Palace did, and the run that they're on, it was important that they responded, and they did. I feel Iverson should have done better for that free kick. I know it's ended up going in off himself. I think he should have tipped it over the bar first, so that was close enough to him. So I actually think it was a mistake by the goalkeeper, compounded by the own goal. But Roy Hodgson won't care.
No, he will not. It's been a very good afternoon for Wrexham in the National League. They lead by 4-1. Paul Mullen with the fourth. There's also been another goal at Ashton Gate. Reading back in it, Hamish Marshall.
Indeed they are. It could be a vital goal because they're going to be battling relegation as this season goes on. Substitute Lucas Zhao has got it. Andy Carroll was involved in the build-up. Zhao's header looped over Max O'Leary into the back of the Bristol City net. Bristol City 1, Reading 1.
And another goal in the Championship as well. We've talked about Coventry being on that great run, but so have Stoke been on a good run, and this has been a very good afternoon for them, Nikesh Ragani.
Absolutely, yes. Stoke continuing to have a massive say on what happens towards the top of the Championship. Coventry aiming for that playoff spot. They were 3 points off coming into today. 9 matches unbeaten, but Stoke have just scored a third goal to put this game to bed. 3-0 up with 20 minutes to go. Will Smallbone with the shot from around 12 yards out. Lovely right-footed curling finish into the back of the net. And the Coventry fans, with all this time still left on the clock, have started streaming out of the turnstiles already. It seems inevitable, this one. It's Coventry 0, Stoke 3.
Right, let's head back to the City ground. Forest look like they are the most likely, Chris Latcham.
Yeah, they've just had a couple of chances. Danilo shooting over. Brennan Johnson still a persistent pest to Wolves, but he couldn't get his shot away. I think they look really comfortable here, Forest, but they haven't won a game in 6. So with the lead only at 1, that's going to be a nervy finish. Wolves have had a couple of chances. Max Kilman and Daniel Podence both had shots from 30 yards, both off target. I think Forest rather will be really happy with that. Pot shots from way out. They lead 1-0.
It's second against third in League Two. There's been a goal. Which way, Mike Williams?
Well, we said Stevenage, the visitors, were giving this a real go, and they have dragged themselves back into this. It's 1-1. They knew that as things stood, they were dropping out of the automatic promotion places in League Two. Not anymore, because they're back on level terms, and it's the substitute, Jamie Reid, who's only been on the pitch less than 2 minutes, with a beautiful, sublime turn. Absolutely skinned the Northampton defender, ran on goal, got his shot away, and it just deceived the Northampton keeper Burge and trickled into the back of the net to the delight of the 900 travelling Stevenage fans. It is all to play for at the top of League Two. 1-1.
It was a great start to the second half for Bournemouth. Have they continued it, Andy Stevenson?
Well, actually, I think Fulham have steadied the ship, to be honest, Daly. They were caught by surprise, I think, by Bournemouth's full throttle start to the second half. Marco Silva has just brought on club captain Tom Kearney and Dan James for Reid and De Cordova-Reid. Bournemouth seem to have used up a lot of energy in that first 15 minutes of this half. They need to pick it up again. 10 minutes to go. Bournemouth 1, Fulham 1.
It's goals galore this second half at the John Smith Stadium. Middlesbrough mounting a comeback, Nesta McGregor.
Exhausted just watching Huddersfield Town 4 at Middlesbrough 2. I said this was over 10 minutes ago, not so sure now. Good work from Ryan Giles down the left-hand side. He crossed in a ball and rising above everyone was Chuba Akpom, his 25th goal of the season. The last 15 minutes should be interesting. Huddersfield Town 4, Middlesbrough 2.
An absolutely massive goal at the Vitality Stadium. What a turnaround in this second half for Bournemouth, Andy Stevenson.
Oh, Bournemouth have turned it around. What a huge goal this could end up being. Ryan Christie broke through into the area, took a low shot, saved by Leno, who then sort of grasped for the ball as Dominic Solanke comes charging in. I'm not sure if it's Solanke that gets the final touch here or it's an own goal, but to be honest, Bournemouth fans don't care one jot. It is Bournemouth 2, Fulham 1. Looks like an own goal to me.
Oh, and Zinchenko is shaking his head because Leeds are back in it, Will Perry.
They are. It's Rasmus Christensen who's made it 3-1 with, 15 minutes to play. Jack Harrison on the left-hand side squared the ball. It came off a Leeds player and fell to Christensen, who finishes beautifully from outside of the box. It actually comes off Xhaka, back to Christensen. Ramsdale gets something to it, but it goes past him into the bottom right-hand corner. Is that a lifeline? 15 minutes to go. Leeds have had nothing the last few minutes, but tails will be up after that Christensen goal. 3-1 Arsenal lead.
Yeah, I think it takes a slight deflection on the way in, but you said it, Leon, yourself. You can never count Leeds out. It looked like they were absolutely gone in this game, but they found that little lifeline.
Yeah, they just don't seem to let their heads lower. They just keep charging forward. Glenn mentioned earlier, they've only got one way of playing. Despite what Javi Gracia might be trying to do with his new approach, they still want to run forward, and they've took the game to Arsenal. Arsenal showed their superior quality, but they're still going. They're even pushing now. They're in the Arsenal box. They're trying to create chances. Arsenal, I feel a little bit nervous despite the 2-goal advantage right now.
Yeah, they will do, and I'm sure Fulham are feeling a little bit nervous as well because Bournemouth have turned this one around. Ryan Christie started on Tuesday night for Scotland against Spain. Keep those little mentions coming. But he does all the hard work, but then the goalkeeper, will the goalkeeper be disappointed?
Maybe where he's palmed it, but I think you've got to look at the defenders around him. They're first on the scene and they could deal with it, but it's Solanke that manages to bundle it goalwards. I think the last touch actually comes off Robinson's knee.
Yeah, I think Solanke's got it at the moment.
Yes. Listen, it was going on target, so if they give him it, I understand, but it had the last touch.
Goals off strikers, eh?
No, I'm not. But the last touch does come off Robinson. But in all fairness, Bournemouth have been magnificent this second half. They've attacked the game, they've asked questions at Fulham, and they're winning 2-1, and this could be a crucial 3 points. Yeah, it could be absolutely massive. A win against Liverpool and a win today would certainly do well for their home confidence. Right, let's head into the Championship. There's been a goal between Coventry and Stoke, Nikesh Rugani.
And another one to Stoke. It's turning into an absolute thumping for the home side. Stoke leading by 4-0 thanks to Kijana Hova. What a finish this was as well. He was charging into the right-hand side of the box. A couple of step-overs to leave a couple of Coventry defenders on their backsides. And a lovely, neat, right-footed finish into the bottom corner. Stoke just causing absolute carnage up at the top of the table. They've been having a lot of good results against the top sides in the division over the last 2 months. And Coventry are set to become yet another victim. It's Coventry 0, Stoke 4.
Well, what might make Stoke feel, or Coventry feel a little bit better is the fact that Dundee are winning 6-0, just above them on the video printer there. So great afternoon for Dundee. Right, let's head into League 2. First against fourth. There's been the opening goal, Kate Mason.
Yeah, I said that we were going wild here at Brisbane Road, and now they're even wilder. It is 1-0 to Leyton Orient. Ruel Sotirio firing the ball towards the Carlisle United goal. It pinged off a few players. It's going to, I think, go down as an own goal from John Mellish, but that won't matter to Leyton Orient. It is 1-0 here. Are they going to hang on? There's 15 minutes to play.
Right, well, Kelly Summers is here. We can get all the big headlines being made elsewhere in the EFL, Kelly.
Yes, very quickly, I was going to say kick-off. We've definitely kicked off. Full time is approaching. It's been one of those days, hasn't it? At the top, Sheffield United are extending their gap over third to 6 points if they can hold on against Norwich City. Now, we're hearing that actually the Sheffield United fans have been chanting there is only one Neil Warnock. That is because, of course, Neil Warnock's Huddersfield Town are also helping them out by beating Middlesbrough by 4-2. Both Millwall and Blackburn are also failing to close the gap on Luton. Luton, of course, winning earlier in the day against their rivals Watford. At the bottom of the table, a big win potentially for Wigan. That will be their first win since the 11th of February, only their second since the start of November. A reminder, Wigan were also hit with a 3-point deduction last week because they'd failed to pay their players in March. But a few reasons to celebrate there at least today. Into League One, and I'm going to start with a bit of a family affair story. This is really nice. As you can see, Charlton 5-0 up against Shrewsbury Town, ending a run of torrid form at home. But 19-year-old Miles Leeburn has scored 2 of those goals today, one of those from the penalty spot. That means it's 5 goals in 4 games for him. He is the son of former Charlton striker Carl Leeburn, who scored 66 goals for the club in an 11-year spell. So I'm sure that means even more to him, given the family connections there. In terms of how the table is shaping up in these closing stages, Sheffield Wednesday are still going top in the absence of Plymouth playing. They are still being held by Lincoln, though. The reason I stumbled then is because there's been a goal in the Premier League, Ailey.
There has, and it is another absolutely huge one at the bottom. It's come at the City Ground. It's gone to Wolves. Chris Latcham.
It's gone against the home team. I said Forest looked comfortable, but when it's only one, they were not safe, and that has been proved true by Daniel Podence and Wolves. They were knocking on the door, but this is the first time they've created a chance inside the box. It fell to Podence on the left-hand side. He shaped to shoot first time, cut inside, rolled the defender, and then bent the ball into the side netting. Gorgeous goal from Wolves. It's Forest 1, Wolves 1.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting you there, Kelly. We'll get the boys' thoughts on that in a minute, but I'll let you get back to the EFL.
That's all right, no problem. Half the problem is I can see the goals in the corner of my eye as well, so it's very distracting indeed, especially when I'm trying to keep across all of these. Anyway, into League One, finishing League One even. Ipswich are staying third. They're going for their 7th win in a row for the first time in 35 years. What a job Kieran McKenna is doing there. Also a shout out to Barnsley, 4-0 against Morecambe. Lost their unbeaten run to Exeter in midweek, bouncing back in style today. Let's rattle through quickly League Two. Northampton won, Stevenage won. As we have been hearing, means that Stevenage are going back third into those automatic spots, but it is so tight at the top of League Two. And also a word for Mansfield Town, 4-1 up against Crawley. Mansfield themselves cutting the gap on the playoffs to just 2 points. Going to go down to the wire in that division as well. And at the other end of the table, Rochdale 1-0 up against AFC Wimbledon. Could that be a bit of a new manager bounce? Jim Bentley was sacked last week. Jim McNulty coming in. He's their 3rd manager of the season in the dugout there. As it stands, they're still, though, even if they win today, 8 points from safety.
Kelly, thank you very much. Right, a massive goal for Wolves. Costa involved, Podence with the finish, beautifully taken. Both had to come off the bench. So although he didn't perhaps start with the players you might expect in the forward areas, they've had a massive impact today.
They have. I mean, throughout the games we're talking about, you know, Tavernier had the reaction for Bournemouth. There's been a couple of others as well. Pereira for Leicester, coming off the bench and making an impact. And you've just mentioned those 2 players heavily involved. Neto as well has a shot that ricochets to Podence. He just pulls away from everything. He's one of those players that finds space when things are going on and the speed of things around him is really high. He'll just pull away into a space, and he does that, pulls really out to the left-hand side of around about the 6-yard box, and as the ball ricochets to him, he takes one touch from his left onto his right foot and goes for power more than anything, and it beats everyone, and that could be a big goal for both those teams, actually.
Yeah, huge goal, right? Let's head to the Championship. There's been another goal at the Cardiff City Stadium, and Jason Mohammed's bobble hat will be bouncing, Laura Kenyon.
It certainly is. It's Cardiff 2, Swansea 2. The equaliser from Sorry Cabba headed home a Ruben Colwill cross. Jason Mohammed smiling again now, arms in the air. It's all level in the South Wales derby, 2-2.
And they're breathing a little easier again at the Emirates. Another goal, Will Perry.
Yeah, another goal. Manchester City win 4-1 and Arsenal match that scoreline, and it's Granit Xhaka with a pinpoint header past Ilham Meslier to, seal the points if there was any doubt after that consolation goal from Rasmus Christensen. Smith Rowe and Tierney about to come on. It's going to be 7 consecutive Premier League wins for Arsenal and a 100th victory as Arsenal boss for Mikel Arteta. Xhaka with the latest goal. Arsenal 4, Leeds 1.
Yeah, we thought it might get a little nervy for Arsenal. It certainly won't be now that they've got this one. We're just watching it back here, Glenn, but it's on paper been a really good afternoon for Arsenal.
Yeah, really good afternoon. It was a little bit in the balance, the game early doors. Leeds started really well, but they got that penalty settling down, and this one here, the 4th of the afternoon, just puts it to bed. Brilliant ball in from, I think it was Odegaard, and Xhaka just breaks the offside trap, and it's a really good header actually, isn't it? Cool, calm, composed, gets it on target, makes no mistake, and that's put to bed.
It's a really good header, and that's what Arsenal can do. They've got quality throughout the team, including the goalkeeper, who's had to make some saves at times. So when they get to the top end of the field, they've got players that can make an assist out of nowhere if you've got a runner. They've got players that can finish if you give them half an opportunity, and that's where they are in the league. Yeah,
it is indeed. Now we've got an interesting situation at the Amex. They're checking for a penalty, Chris Wise.
And it's going to be given to Brighton. I'm absolutely convinced of it. Aaron Hickey has chucked himself in the way of the ball to try and block a Dennis Undav shot inside the 6-yard box. And as Undav releases, Hickey sticks his right arm out, almost like a goalkeeper really, and has flicked it over the top of the crossbar. Michael Oliver, the referee, is talking to Stuart Atwell at the moment, the VAR. From the footage that I've seen so far, I would be shocked if this isn't given as a penalty. And Hickey might be in big trouble as well, because it looked like a deliberate handball to me as well. I don't know what Leon and Glenn think about that, just while Michael Oliver is discussing things with the players on the pitch. Hang on a second, let's have a look. Yeah, Michael Oliver's heading over to the screen, so while he does that, I just wonder if Glenn and Leon have a thought.
Chris, I'm sure you know what Glenn's opinion is. An honest one, an honest opinion.
A penalty for you, Glenn?
Yes, it is. Hickey's led with his arm. I think he's just got a little bit lost where his body shape is, led with his arm, and it's definitely come off his forearm, and I think you agree. Yeah, penalty, and he'll be lucky to not get a red card there as well, such as the crime these days. He's just got his arm crossed. I mean, it's happened so quickly and it's in a tight space, but if you look at it, he has thrown his body and just had to reach out with his arm, I feel, and Michael Oliver's going to make the decision now.
I always feel, though, that it is a harsh one because you talk about arms being in unnatural positions. Yes, it makes his body bigger, and I'm not saying it's not a penalty, but it's difficult to control your whole entire body when you're diving in like that to try and stop it. So you can understand. Obviously, it is a penalty, but it's such a harsh one, I always think, on the defence.
I don't think you get a clear penalty all afternoon, to be honest. I mean, his legs are behind his body and his arms in front of his body.
Yeah, it's almost like he's fallen in front of it.
Yes, and it's Undav has a shot on goal and it just comes off his forearm. I think it's a little bit of desperation, is it, from the Brentford man? But you know what? If Brighton missed this penalty, it's the right decision.
It doesn't look like he's being sent off. Lewis Dunker's asking the referee the question right now, just as they're getting ready to take the penalty kick.
Yeah, so it is a penalty. Hickey, still on the pitch. So let's get back to Chris Wise for the penalty.
And I think there were one or two Brighton players for sure who feel that referee Michael Oliver should have produced a red card rather than a yellow for Hickey. So Brentford still have 11 men on the pitch. They still have their lead for now, but we are inside the final 90 seconds of regular time here with Brighton, with this penalty, trailing by 3-2. They've dominated in this second half. David Raya has made so many saves in that Brentford goal, but now he's got to try and deny McAllister from the spot, who's been accurate every single time he's stepped up to penalties this season, the Argentinian. And Brighton's number 10 has put the ball down, and he has stood with a steely focus over this ball as we move into the 90th minute of this game. McAllister against Raya. Brighton's big moment. European football potentially on the line on this penalty as well for both teams. McAllister takes his time. Here he comes. He scores. He went high into the top left-hand corner. Raya went the wrong way, and Brighton have their deserved equaliser. 3-3.
Yeah, great penalty, Glenn.
Yeah, it was. As it ticked into the 90th minute, McAllister showed great character to stand there, took his time. Obviously played in the World Cup final recently, so this is nothing to him. But I mean, it is an emphatic penalty and a very, very important one at that.
Yeah, Leon's making faces. We're gonna go to the City ground now because they are checking for a red card, Chris Latcham.
Yeah, and potentially one of the nastiest red cards of the season. But well, it's not a red card. They were checking if Daniel Podence had spat in the face of Brennan Johnson, and the slow motion definitely sees him make a puckered lips gesture and at least blow. But whether or not any liquid came out, the VAR has deemed no, he didn't spit in his face. But Brennan Johnson reacted like he did. So I think we'll be talking about this on Saturday night and maybe even Monday morning when the papers come out. Ultimately, it's still 1-1. We've just gone into injury time. A winner here would be all important for both of these teams in that bottom 9, the relegation battle.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that you do not want to see in any sport at all, Leon. And I suppose the reason that VAR wasn't able to make a decision is that you can't see exactly what happened. But it certainly, from the reaction, looks like something did happen there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything definitive, but all the motions are there. Yeah. All of the, as was mentioned there, the puckering of lips, the actual motion with the face, the reaction from Brennan Johnson as well, but you can't really see anything on the camera, you know, that motion from person to person. So he's obviously gotten away with it there. You hope it was just fresh air and just a blow, because as you said, that is one of the worst things you can do to a fellow professional on a football pitch.
It is, yeah. And I feel as though Brennan Johnson's reaction, it warrants that he did it, if you know what I mean. Like, it's not something you would play act with. I think it's something that's it's disgusting. And listen, I don't think we've seen it in the game for a long time, and to see that happen there is it's a disappointment.
How do you think you deal with this going forward then? Because obviously VAR has had a look at it and decided they can't make a decision. How do you retrospectively look at it if something has happened?
Oh, I suppose they can look at it in a little bit more detail, but I mean, we're looking at the images in. I mean, the screen's a little bit away, but we can't quite make anything out. So unless they can see something on those images when they've got a little bit more time, then I think that the decision will stand.
Yeah, something we definitely do not want to see. Right, let's head to Selhurst Park. Betty Glover.
It's Palace 1, Leicester 1, still a draw here as it stands. Palace doing absolutely everything that they can here to get their first win since December 31st. It's all been about Palace as we are in injury time. We've got about 4 minutes remaining as Jordan Ayew just feeds a lovely ball in, and Tyrick Mitchell tried to score but it went over the bar. But as it stands, it is Palace 1, Leicester 1.
And let's head to the Vitality. Bournemouth looking for another big 3 points at home, Andy Stevenson.
Oh, can you hear the tension? Can you feel the tension here at the Vitality? Adam Smith taking the longest time he's ever taken over a throw-in, I imagine, over on that far side. I reckon we've got about a minute left. Fulham have the ball in Bournemouth half, but they've given away a foul. And listen to the reaction from the Bournemouth crowd. They'll be able to eat up a little bit more time here. Bournemouth clinging on, 2-1.
There has been another goal in the Premier League, and it's another big one at the bottom. Betty Glover.
This is massive. We have 1 minute of injury time left. Selhurst Park has gone wild. Jordan Ayew takes the ball, turns on the edge of the area, puts a lovely ball in, and it's Jean-Philippe Matea who scores for Crystal Palace to make it Palace 2, Leicester 1 in the dying moments. Fans here at Selhurst Park are on their feet. Palace look set for their first Premier League win since December 31st. As it stands, Ailey, it is Palace 2, Leicester 1.
Absolutely huge for Palace. We will talk about that in just a minute or so, but there's been an absolutely massive result at the Vitality. Andy Stevenson.
Bournemouth have hung on the proverbial game of two halves. Fulham were in control for much of the first half. They took the lead through a brilliantly worked goal down the left. Andreas Pereira began the move and finished it, playing Manor Solomon down the wing and then having the chance put on a plate for him by Harrison Reed. How Fulham will look back and wish they had made more of their superiority in that first 45. Gary O'Neill clearly had words with his Bournemouth team at half-time. He made 2 substitutions, and the Cherries were a team transformed. They came out flying after the break. It was one of the subs, Marcus Tavernier, who got the equaliser. He picked up a punch clearance by Bernd Leno on the corner of the area and whipped a brilliant left-footed curling shot right into the top corner. And then with just over 10 minutes to go, another sub, Ryan Christie, broke through. His shot was saved low down by Leno, but Solanke was there to bundle it home, probably off the shin of Fulham defender Anthony Robinson. Fulham's dip in form continues, but Bournemouth are out of the relegation zone for now. Bournemouth 2, Fulham 1.
What a result for Bournemouth, and what a finish to the match at Selhurst Park. Betty Glover.
I have never heard anything like this. Well, I haven't for a very long time here, Ailey. It has finished Palace 2, Leicester 1. Roy Hodgson is walking onto the pitch, shaking all of his players' hands. He's got a massive smile on his face. He's got his second era here at Crystal Palace, off to a cracking start. In the dying seconds, in injury time, Palace made it 2-1. It was Jean-Philippe Mateta with the winner in the 94th minute. A fantastic goal. It means Crystal Palace, I'm just trying to refresh my table here, Ailey, but I'm sure you can tell me what it means for them when it comes to the table. It looks like Crystal Palace move up to 11th, but I'm sure you can confirm that for me in a second. But what a cracking game this was. In the first half, Palace had 20 shots, Leicester had none. Palace absolutely dominated this game, played some ruthless attacking football. Leicester opened the scoring in the second half, though. Ricardo Pereira, brilliant goal, his first of the season, before Crystal Palace equalised and then finally got that injury time winner in the 94th minute. What about this then? It's finished Crystal Palace 2, Leicester 1.
Yeah, it moves Palace 5 points clear off the bottom 3. Right, well, Manchester City asked Arsenal a question earlier on today. Arsenal answered emphatically, Will Perry.
Yeah, Manchester City win 4-1 and Arsenal respond 4-1 in front through Gabriel Jesus' penalty 10 minutes before the break. He won it after Ayling brought him down and slotted down the middle past Meslier for his first goal in 6 months. 2 minutes into the second half, Martinelli's low cross to the far post found former Leeds boy Ben White, who finished with help from the underside side of the crossbar from inside the 6-yard box for his second ever Arsenal goal. Jesus got his second with great work from Trossard, who picked him out with the Brazilian poking past Meslier to seal the points. Leeds actually looked decent before conceding the opening goal. Christensen's deflected effort proved just a consolation, and then Xhaka made it 4, heading in an Odegaard cross. Leeds out of the relegation zone just on goal difference. 7 consecutive Premier League victories for Arsenal. A 100th win as Arsenal boss for Mikel Arteta. His side restore that 8-point lead over Manchester City. They still have Liverpool, City and Newcastle to play away, and tough games against Chelsea and Brighton here at the Emirates, but they can smell the title. It's finished Arsenal 4, Leeds 1.